One, two, three. Hello and welcome to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show, Generation X review from 1996. Not the comics, unfortunately, but we'll talk about it. We are your hosts, Davskin and Jubilandre Lee. I got no fancy sound effects for tonight. This is a new series here on X-Men animated review show. This is our movie series. I don't know if you'd call
this be season 6? Is that what we're qualifying this as?
I don't know. This is bonus episodes is what I qualify these as.
Well, there's going to be an awful lot of them. You might as well make it its own little series.
Yeah, fair enough. Maybe I will. All right. We'll go back.
I'm a man who likes organization, proper organization. It makes me very happy.
Yeah. Well, we're your hosts, Davan and André, and we maybe will have a guest, Jaemeel Robinson, at some point.
If he's out there listening, Jaemeel, you're missing when you're supposed to be on the show.
Yeah. Good job, Jaemeel.
Yeah,
Late
Jaemeel.
As always. So
Fucking
fashionable.
Jaemeel.
He's going to show up in sunglasses thinking he's so cool. Anyway. What's going on, André? Hold on. I might as well play some sort of music for us.
Well, let's catch up on old times.
I think it's fair. We keep this shit in here.
What are they up to?
What do you think they do? What are they up to? He's so good.
It's so good. What's going on? Not much.
What's going on?
Not much. Just cut my new episode of the podcast today before this. So that's
it was good.
I'm getting way in
the
next one. Yeah, I'm getting way in advance this time. It's good. I
Very
should have
good.
well into the new year already recorded before the end of the month, probably. The way it's going. Things are going good. Busy. Some changes coming up. I don't want to reveal as of now, but we'll next time. But yeah, work-wise has been busy. Life's good. Can't complain. Getting
Changes.
Yeah,
We fear change.
Changes. Well, nothing that would impact the show or anything that has anything to do with that. So,
Moving.
Just grumbles. Yeah, no, it's been good. Just watched 2 movies, chilled out, got a lot of wrestling coming up this weekend. So yeah, life's good.
Good.
Can't complain. If I die tomorrow, would you still remember me? What I was going to say was that, things are good.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear it.
How are you, buddy? How's the new home? Is this a new home now?
Pretty
Are you in a
good.
new
Sitting
home?
here in my new studio.
I was going to say, it looks kind of like the old one. Did you just?
I moved the items from my previous house and moved them into my new house.
So where's your studio now? Is it in the basement again?
Yeah, it's in the basement again. I got the kids' play area over on this side. There's a fish tank.
Oh,
Kids' play area over there. They can have a little
it's kind of messy.
Yeah, well, Star Trek studio,
Oh wow,
X-Men studio.
beautiful.
There we go.
Looks really nice. How many?
Yeah,
How big's the
bed
house you got?
Yeah, they say 4-bedroom, but I would call it 3 bedrooms and an office.
Mm-hmm. And then the basement is just a rec room type area that you converted into this, or is this counted as a bedroom?
No, the 4th bedroom is also in the basement. It's over there outside this room.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's good size. Good size.
Are you happy to be settled and I guess in a more permanent location now?
Oh yeah, definitely getting sick of getting kicked out of rentals for reasons of group.
Well, you don't want to pay.
And
you don't want to pay $3,000 a month for a rental. Come on, man. What the hell's the matter with you?
No,
that's capitalism, baby.
Yeah, it sure is.
Pitchforks
are getting sharpened as we speak.
A friend of mine, or friends of ours rather, have their daughter, who I guess is our goddaughter. They've asked us to accept that title, but they're not religious, so I feel like it's just mostly in a fun title, but I'll take it. Her parents are like hippie types, and are always talking about capitalism and the patriarchy and all this sort of stuff. So the kid is growing up in a really interesting environment. Apparently, they got talked to by their teacher one time. of the daughter, because at play school she would just walk over and knock over another kid's like sculpture or whatever they're making out of blocks and go, "That's capitalism," and then walk away. Because her dad would do that if he knocked over something. He'd be like, "That's capitalism," and then just walk away. So they're breeding, hopefully, the next prime minister. Well, one of the future prime ministers of Canada. I would certainly. She got my vote.
Oh well, maybe as mine too.
Another fun, exciting thing, I guess, about me is I ended up springing for the Marvel Unlimited. And
Oh, you did do it.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet, man. Any series, I'm like, man, I never got a chance to read that. It's all there. I'm currently reading The Immortal Hulk.
Oh, The Immortal Hulk. Yeah.
I really like it so far. I've only read 2 issues, but it's really good.
Yeah, for sure it is. Well, like we said, we are here to talk about Generation X. So, any opening thoughts?
It's kind of insane. Like if you think about like the history of adaptations of X-Men works, live act. Okay, we'll go to live action. This was the first of all live first.
Look, who's here?
There he is.
I thought it was starting at 9.
It is 9.
You didn't tell him there's a time difference where he lives, did you, Davan?
Dude.
He lives in Toronto. Bad. It is 10 o'clock there, or 8 o'clock there, isn't it?
It's 8 o'clock. Yeah. I'm just relaxing. I'm like, oh, I got like 45 minutes to go. Let me do some light reading, you know.
Oh, very nice.
Luckily, I checked. I would have missed this one.
Why? It's so good. I was just explaining. He asked me what my initial thoughts were. We don't want to go too spoilery since we're going to walk through the episode, but I said, out of all, like, I think it's an amazing footnote in the history of X-Men adaptations that the first live action like X universe adaptation was this. Like it's this. It's amazing.
There's Jaemeel.
I am here. I would not miss this for the world. I would not miss this for the world.
Well, sorry, Dad, that due to a scheduling error, you had to rush.
Well, 15 minutes. Whew.
And this movie pilot, whatever you want to call it, was written by Eric Blakeney.
It actually is a TV movie. I double checked. It's an hour. It was 2 hours on television. Okay. It's an hour and 28 minutes long without commercials. And it was intended to be either a pilot for a show, but what they were really hoping for was a series of TV films. So there would have been more of these in this style with about this time length.
So also keep in mind during this time period, a lot of high concept type of movie television productions was going around. So Hercules initially started off as television movies. So there are about 4 or 5 of them.
Yes, I remember those.
Before they became an actual hour-long program action show. It was like the Action Hour, I believe it was called. So this was in the same kind of vein as well, with a lot less results, better quality results.
Yeah, I was telling Davan before we started this up.
Generation X number 1 here.
Oh, look at that beautiful '90s holofoil cover.
Oh yeah,
look at that.
Still has its luster.
The shine.
Mine's all packed up. Occasionally I do break it out and I read through the entire series. I have the entire first Generation X run.
I have the first 2 Epic collections. I think the 3rd Epic collection is a series that came later. I think the first 2 are most of the original, but I think the 3rd one, which I put on my Christmas list and hopefully I'll get. Or I just yeah, exactly. I did put it on the one I sent my wife and my mom for things that I'm looking for. But I do have Marvel Unlimited now, so I guess worst case scenario I can just go read it on that. But yeah, no, that's like I on Letterboxd I gave it like 2.5. I probably should have given it 2, but like it's not good, but there's some good in it. It's just not a lot. And it very much is a product of its time.
So it came out in 96.
Yeah.
1996.
Feels a little earlier.
February 16th, maybe. I'm only remembering what I had on my VHS because I recorded it. I made sure, to watch it. I was so excited when this came out.
How old are you, Jaemeel?
How old am I now, or how old
Yes.
was I
Tell me-
when this came
Well,
out?
I can do the math either way, so just tell me now.
Well, I was 14. Well, sorry, 13 technically. When
Oh,
this came out.
that's a serviceable age. I would have been like 11, so I wasn't too far behind you. But I didn't have channels like Fox that I could watch this on. I had CBC and ATV. So anyway, sorry.
Directed by Jack Shoulder and starring Canada's own Matt Frewer, legend.
Actually, several Canadians are in this because it was filmed in Vancouver, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, the daughter from Stay Tuned, a movie we both love.
That's correct.
Jubilee.
The girl from Party of Five, I think. I don't know. She's not Canadian, I don't think. But
Helen, was it Helen McCall?
The one who played Jubilation Lee.
Yeah.
But the guy that plays Banshee is Canadian.
Is he?
Yeah, he was very famously on Cold Case for like the entire show and a bunch of other shows. He gained a ton of weight. Like to look at him now, you wouldn't even like. I don't want to body shame him. I mean, hey, whatever, as long as he's happy. But
he became more fun sized.
Yeah, that's for sure. So like to compare him to what he looked like back then, it's pretty tough to see it. But he is in there if you look at the eyes.
Fiona Hughes, how does she look nowadays?
Oh, the one that played Emma Frost?
Yes, because
some bad plastic surgery, I would guess. Once again, I don't want to body shame, but
well, let's get into it, shall we?
I guess just saying I don't want to body shame and then body shaming isn't really the best way. It's like saying no offense.
Like I don't mean to be rude.
Yeah, no offense, but you're a piece of shit. Like I do not take offense to that. All right. So we get So I was gonna bring. We usually have these X facts at the end, which we're not doing for this particular run. So I'm just gonna throw in some fun facts as we go through it. There's a little intro here as we start it, which defines what mutants are. And
their little all lives matter political message here at the start. That didn't age well.
All life mutates. It says. All life matters. But then it kind of describes what a mutant is, and then the state of affairs based around mutants with the Registration Act, which is almost identical to what happens in X-Men 1 when they do their intro, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah,
they had the voiceover with Patrick Stewart and the definition of mutants and stuff in that as well. So we cut to a sketchy looking science lab here where we see that we meet Dr. Raymond Tresh, which is such a hard name, not hard, but strange name to pronounce with any, amount of regularity. Tresh. It's not thresh, it's Tresh, right? Tresh. Yeah. So he is going to cut into the brain of a mutant to get their secrets. He is
pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I'll describe it. Then he's interrupted by a team that stops him, led by Emma Frost, who we all know is the White Queen, but it's never called that in this particular episode or the show. We kind of can extrapolate from what's going on that she works in the program too, and reported him for doing what he's doing because it is immoral. And when she sees that he's not really going to be punished, they're just going to let him go, from his position instead of putting him in jail or something. Which is funny how I don't know, whatever laws exist now, the mutants are. If they're not registered, they're basically up for grabs, is what it seems like. Like they're not human beings. They're just if you register, you're okay, but if you don't, then anybody can just cut into your brain and it's fine. They're like, it's kind of a gray area right now, like with murdering people for scientific study. But when she gets upset by hearing that Tresh, who is played by the delightful Matt Frewer, who is doing what I can only guess. No, he's ridiculous in this movie. He's a living cartoon character. And what I can
he's a fantastic.
What I can only guess in his depiction of this movie is him doing Jim Carrey doing The Mask. Like, as I watched it, I was like, there's something about this performance that reminds me of something. And it 100% is The Mask. Jim Carrey as The Mask is this. Or Jim Carrey as the Riddler in Batman Forever.
Wasn't the Riddler after this, though?
That's a good question. But The Mask wouldn't have been. That was 93.
The Mask wouldn't have been. Yes.
So I 100% feel like he either auditioned for it, didn't get it, and this was his this is what I would have done performance, or because he would have been a fine Mask actually based on what he was doing here. Sure. But this character is so ridiculously cartoony and over the top. He is very hard to consider a threat. Although there is an interesting bend to him, which I'll get to a little later.
then-
That I did like. He's just that like the cartooniness was just ramped up so much that when the evil seeped through, it didn't. I don't know. It felt like it. If you had pulled the cartooniness back a little, it would have been a little more interesting.
Yeah, and this is the first
her never before seen telekinetic powers and just started shaking the room. She's like, "What is going on here?" She's going,
"Yeah." So she gets upset.
Powers.
She causes telekinetic. Everyone to get pushed around by her telekinetic powers, which seem like Storm's powers, really, when she makes wind. But in doing so, she just points at Trash like, "I'm going to get you someday," basically, and storms off.
But it also starts the repeating situation where anytime someone uses their powers, they need to plant their feet and then put their hands up to do it.
That's very important.
The entire time it happens.
Well, you don't know. It's a little known fact that mutants' powers come from the ground. You need to be grounded like electrical wire to be able to use them.
Ley lines.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it is magic, man. Mutants are magic now. That's the way things are. I'm sorry, Jaemeel. It's magic. It's all magic.
Magic is just science we don't understand.
That's right. That's right. Sometimes it's just stupid bullshit. So then we see a young man who we meet, known as Angelo. I believe Skin is his unimaginative mutant name that we get to learn later. What a dumb ass name. Just Skin.
Well,
just Skin.
In terms of like the original character, his ability was that he was just making so much excessive skin that it was kind of like folding up on top of himself.
Yeah.
So much excessive. Angelo in this one doesn't really have that problem, so it just seems like out of the blue to kind of call him that. You should be called Stretch before he called Skin.
Yeah. And they even reference his skin several times, like just in jokes, and then even like Tresh says something about it that it has like a glow, like he calls it a muted glow or something like that. Like he's intending that's mutant, that he recognized him as a mutant based on looking at his skin. So anyway, I'm assuming his sister takes his hand as he's driving off in the car. She doesn't let go, and it stretches super long.
Low profile.
Yes. I guess I never really got into an interesting fact about this particular film itself. And one that surprised me when I saw the opening title credits was this is a New World picture, which means this is a Roger Corman movie. And this is either just before or just after Fox bought it. Rupert Murdoch bought New World Pictures from him. But it's somewhere in that vicinity. So this
look at that stretch.
This could be the same effects that he used for his Fantastic Four film. This could be it right here. Who knows?
Probably is.
But yeah, like I have a love for Roger Corman. You can't deny the man. He says he's never lost money in a picture because his pictures are so cheap that it's hard to.
Yeah.
But the man made himself a multimillionaire from making shitty movies, not necessarily shitty movies, but budget movies that a lot of people have a lot of affinity for them, and some of them are pretty good. Like his Edgar Allan Poe stuff with Vincent Price is all really good.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, there's lots of great stuff in there. But anyway, so she doesn't let go. The hand stretches way out, and then he seems in extreme pain while she's doing.
He always does. Like later on with the football, he's like, ah! It's like this is the worst power ever.
But then later on, it doesn't seem to bother him at all when he uses them. He stretches way longer than either of those two times.
There's a lot of inconsistencies.
And
yes.
But then we meet. So then we cut back to find out where Tresh is now. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago is when we saw the incident when he was trying to cut up the mutant's brain.
Yeah,
picked himself up a snazzy suit.
So now he works in a nightclub, apparently, based on the lighting. But the lighting in this movie is all over the map. Like it's. I kind of like it because it's so painfully video game MTV 90s. Like, especially since Frewer, I believe the producer of this movie, worked on Max Headroom, which is why he got this role, which is very much a 90s thing as well.
There's sort of a couple of Max Headroom-ish scenes, too.
Yeah.
Well, it's a show I've been meaning to go back and watch because I just remember catching scattered episodes when I was a kid. It had like a much deeper political storyline that got overshadowed by it just bit my foot. They got overshadowed by like the Pepsi commercials or Coke commercials he was doing or whatever. But Anywho, we learn that he now works for a big corporation and is using his genius to use subliminal messaging to get people to buy more things, which no one
and play Virtua Fighter,
including the board of directors, seems to have any problem with. They're all happy about the advanced product placement that is happening because of this highly illegal activity.
Well, they love it.
Yes, well, because they're selling all 3 of the products that he used the subliminal messaging for, which we learn later, are all the top of their categories now because of
Virtua Fighter.
Virtua
Fighter, the lipstick, and also the cigarettes.
Yeah, the cigarettes. Coffin Nail cigarettes. I can't remember the name of the lipstick. And Virtua Fighter was the fighting game. Although earlier when you see Jubilee playing it, the screen says insert coin on it, which means she's not actually playing it. She's
just watch the power, the energy levels of the competitors. It just keeps going up and down the entire time. They just didn't care.
They're like,
no, they could have just had her play. So funny.
Yeah, it's like, well, maybe the production with the budget was so low they couldn't afford the quarters. I don't know.
Could be. So we don't have that much left. Frewer took it all.
We learned that Frewer has a bigger plan.
Corbin took it all to the bank, laughing all the way there.
So
look, it's white jubes.
Yeah, so I'm getting to that. So basically, we learn that he's had all the success with his subliminal messaging, but he's working on a dream machine and going into people's dreams, which we'll learn more about later.
Because this
even mentions
show
Freddy
wants
Krueger.
to be everything. Yes, it wants to be Freddy Krueger. This movie wants to be hackers. It wants to be everything that was like hot at the time.
They mentioned Tarantino.
Lawnmower Man.
They mentioned Tarantino. Lawnmower Man was never hot, even at the time. But and fun side note, Matt Frewer was in Lawnmower Man 2, Job's Revenge. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
He played the Lawnmower Man in the sequel. So so then we learn that he wants to go into people's dreams. And the president of the company here is obviously a bit perturbed. He thinks he may be going a bit too far. But based on the way this guy acts, is that a Dalek head in Toughest TV? That's fun. Based on the way this guy acts, he's he was long off the deep end long before now, like at any point. But then, of course, he says he needs to get some air and decompress. You can tell the relationship between these two is contentious, because he wants to let his genius flow free, and this guy's trying to rein him in because all he cares about is making money and doesn't, it's like I can't count how many times this has been a thing in fiction where there's like some mad genius that wants to do his thing, and there's some like corporate schlub who's like, well, you can't go too far. We're just trying to make money here. That's what this is about. Remember? And then, the guy goes and, i.e. Jim Carrey and Batman Forever, i.e. 1,000 other people in other movies where the same thing happens. But yes, we see Jubilation Lee and her and I love in her yellow makeup to match her yellow trench coat, who is not Asian, as we quickly can tell by looking at her.
Dublin Lees.
I love I love the subliminal messages. Apparently, which is just glossed over later, mutants have latent telepathic abilities anyway, unrelated to their mutant powers.
No, Jubilee does, they say.
Well, so does Skin, and so does a bunch of other people. But he mentioned, going to the dream dimension and all that, they say is something that mutants can do if they train themselves. All mutants. So there's obviously something in there. But at any point, just so apparently she can see, and this gets explained later, but I probably won't get a chance to say it. But she can see the subliminal messaging. And it's just Tresh's face. It's filling the screen going, buy more.
Play Virtua Fighter.
She saw him, so she turns around and she's like, where was that dude?
Yeah, she thinks it's a reflection. But then it's just a bunch of like this. I don't know.
This kid sells her out instantly too. Like, doesn't need money. It's like, who's that girl? She's like, oh, that's Jubilation Lee.
Yeah, that's what we need. We need the Deus Ex Machina to explain what's going on here.
Deus.
What do you call it? Jeez, my brain stopped working. The explaining. What's the dialogue when someone just
exposition?
Explains? That's it. Expositionary dialogue. I should remember that because of nasal exposition from Austin Powers. So, Jaemeel, did you grow up in Toronto?
Well, yes. Okay. Yes, I did.
So, at any point, in your youth, I mean, you were young around the same time as some of these characters at this time in Toronto. Like we grew up in a small place, Davan and I, out in Nova Scotia, but you were in a major city. Do you remember arcades ever being this popular, this busy? This is like a nightclub. Like the music's banging, everyone's everywhere. There's just people on top of people, all playing arcade machines at the same time.
So
it's like a party.
I moved to Mississauga by this time period. That being said, there were arcades in Square One, downtown on Yonge Street, and then always there was the classic that was Pacific Mall. And there was always music pumping, but not so loud because you were also seeing the emergence of a lot of very musical-oriented games. Not like the big DDR, not yet, but you had those fighting games, and people would like drop quarters. I remember even going up to Shoppers World at that time, and they had their own amusement place. It was dark. A lot of kids were hanging out there. Tons of quarters. So it was busy. I don't know if it was really busy at night because the mall would close. And I wasn't really going downtown at that time. I was 13. So
this place
I remember lineups at X-Men Children of the Atom, that game, just lineups.
Which makes an appearance in this segment, if you notice in the background. I don't know if it was
Children of the Atom.
There is an X-Men arcade machine behind them.
I think it's the older one,
the original one.
Yeah, the older one. But so as she is getting into the game, and
this is hilarious though. They're like, so what does for the design? They're like, so what does Jubilee look like? They're like, well, she wears a yellow trench coat, and they're like, and yellow lipstick.
Sure.
I guess.
That's the advertisement lipstick.
Oh right.
So
maybe yes,
yeah,
she is.
It is. It is.
That's hilarious.
Funny.
That actually is clever.
Now she needs to go for a smoke,
and she's doing. Yeah, well, I'm surprised they didn't have her doing it.
So one interesting fact we're going to get into about, I guess we'll get into when we get into it. But those
are powers going off there.
Yeah. So as she gets into the game, her powers start going off because the game's telling her that subliminal messaging is telling her to play more, which I guess is working because she starts playing harder, and then the machine she starts giving off fireworks, which, as we know, from the character, is her powers. So then the cops go to take her away. She ducks him and gets out of there. And Matt Frewer, of course, Raymond Trash notices all of this, and is obviously fascinated with mutants with the studies from before, and asks a random dude what her name is, and he says, "Well, it's Jubilation Lee."
You don't know?
Hello.
You don't know? You haven't heard? So she gets taken in by the police.
My ass Virtua Fighter. I'll sell her down the river for free, man.
She gets taken in by the police, and she's 15, as we see here, which makes a later scene even more creepy. But
this is similar to like the kind of screen from X-Men the animated series too.
Yeah, well, we do learn she's been incarcerated, and her mom's finding out she's a mutant, and they're having a whole argument about it. But they're saying
except in the X-Men the animated series, under her name it says Asian American, just so you know.
They didn't even bother with this.
Nope. They're like white girl.
They certainly didn't.
Basic white girl. So the cops are basically going to send her off to a mutant detention camp because she's not registered. Which is crazy. The mom's like, we didn't even know she's a mutant. We would have registered. They're like, that's out of her hand. She didn't register, and they got to send her off to mutant camp to be re-educated, which sounds horrifying.
Her being scared and fighting back is akin to mutant terrorism.
Yes.
They say.
Yeah. Well, that's just how it works, I guess. The police are just like, don't defend yourself. So anyhow, she's upset by all this. Obviously, her father's away on a business trip, and he's rushing home to be there. We then see who we soon learn is Banshee sleeping without a shirt on by a raging fire. Like, that's a huge fire. That's got to be really hot in that room. Like that fire is that's like medieval castle with a whole group of people eating like hundreds of like Vikings eating on tables.
It's Banshee. He has a castle.
Well, and there's all these candles lit around him. Like he's
Cassidy Keep. It's gorgeous.
It's not, as we come to learn later on. They're at the X Mansion, so it's definitely not Castle Keep. But we see that he is awakened by Emma Frost, who we saw earlier. They have a little bit of a flirtatious note
Banter.
banter about how he's dreaming about her, and he says, "If you go in my dreams, it'll be the last thing you do," kind of thing. She says he's got to get up because Cerebro gave them a notice.
They're totally banging.
You think so?
They're totally banging in this. Come on now. Why are they both in the same luxurious room in their laundry?
They have separate rooms. You see,
they have separate rooms.
She came into his room from her room.
Yeah.
Don't buy it.
It's will they, won't they kind of thing as the tensions grow.
If the show went on, then we probably would have got an eventual.
Banshee is not her type.
The actress you mentioned earlier, I forgot her name already.
He doesn't lick enough boots like Cyclops, is what you're saying?
You calling Cyclops a bootlicker, Jaemeel?
During this time period, yes.
Oh, well, maybe this time period. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we don't know what he's like in this universe, so who knows what our Cyclops is like.
Yeah,
I know.
He's that kid who shoots lasers.
I was going to say, I know
the
the Costco version of him is in this universe. The Kirkland brand Cyclops is in this universe.
Isn't that even his name, Kirk?
It's Kirk.
It is actually. That's even more hilarious.
Kirkland brand. Yeah.
Refrax is his name. It was such a terrible.
Refrax. Yes.
Refrax.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Like refracted light. Like it's just bad.
Well, Sam, you're young. There was this time we called the before time.
In the long ago.
I should show you a movie about Genghis Khan, and you'll be surprised at who plays.
Oh, you're talking about old John Wayne. Or like there's so
Breakfast at Tiffany's. Let's watch that.
Or all the many times Joel Grey played an Asian.
I was going to say Remo
Rooney.
Williams, The Adventure Begins, when Joel Grey playing his Asian sensei.
Yeah.
Oh God, there's some bad.
The before time, Sam.
The before times.
In the long.
Now it got woke, supposedly.
In the distant past of 1996, the far distant past.
Or one of my favorites, Short Circuit 2.
Oh, that's true. Fisher Stevens.
Yeah, I love Fisher Stevens. Oh, that movie is complicated for me. Hackers 2 is great at that. I should ask him. I should have him sign a skateboard.
He directed that new Beckham documentary that's on Netflix. He directed that.
Oh, really?
He actually directed a bunch. Yeah, he directed a ton of movies.
Wasn't it Blackfish? I think he
That's the one. I was trying to think of the movie he directed that he got an Oscar for, and I thought it was The Cove, and I was like, I don't think it's The Cove. It's something like that, but it's not that. It was Blackfish, 100%.
I kept up with Fisher Stevens. Loved him in Early Edition.
Do you love him that much? Are you like that deep?
I was a big fan of Fisher Stevens.
Wow.
I followed him to Early Edition, and it's a procedural, and I don't like procedurals.
Interesting.
He's a Fisher Stevens fan, and he's not afraid to admit it.
That's why it's very complicated for me with my love for Short Circuit 2.
My love of Short Circuit 2.
It's like, I know it's brown face, but he was banned from India for like a couple of decades.
Really?
Yeah, because of that role.
It wasn't hit. Like I mean, obviously he took it, but it's not like I guess I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. I'm too white to think anything about this. I'll let other people figure it out.
I think the most interesting thing, one, hindsight is there, and two, the discussions that comes from it. And he fully admits it's like, I took a role. I was a struggling actor, and it was like, hey, you're gonna be in your own movie. You just got to do this this thing, right? And no one really had a problem with it vocally. Right, the movie came out. It wasn't like there was like articles like saying this is wrong.
No, it was only many years later that it became a thing.
Yeah, so
and there's lots of that. I mean, there's a cool documentary I never got a chance to watch about Apu, the Simpsons and the representation and all that sort of stuff. So, interesting side note too that you two may be aware of is that Ratchford, is that his name? The guy that plays Banshee in this is the voice of Banshee on the X-Men cartoon.
No way.
He is.
In X-Men TAS?
Yeah, true. That is very true.
Oh, we got to get him on the show.
Jeremy Ratchford is the voice of Banshee.
All right, Jeremy Ratchford, you got to come on the show, bud. Double Banshee, come on.
Double Banshee. So we see the mother leave the situation and be approached by Banshee and Emma, who try to coerce her to let them bring her to their
That's
school.
hilarious. They just walk up to her in the street.
Yeah, and she's noticeably bothered. She's like, I don't just hand my daughter over to strangers that approach me on the street.
Ugh.
This government schlub that's just
But
like,
she
well,
does.
Yeah, well, because they tell her it's either these strangers that are going to take her to a school and try to help her, or the other strangers are taking her to a detention camp where she may never see her again. And it's kind of not really a Sophie's choice here. It's kind of like, well, give her a shot.
But don't worry, you can talk to your daughter from our school. Oh, if she decides to take your call.
Yeah, and also if she may invade your dreams later, that might happen too.
Yeah. I do like the difference in the approaches by the two characters, Banshee versus White Queen, who just can't handle dealing with the foolishness of individuals. And the banter continues in this scene where they go back and forth. I love the banter in this. They at least did a good job with that.
Yeah, 100%.
These two are the strength of the thing, really.
I mean, his Irish accent is a little suspect, but it carries him through enough. He's charismatic enough that it can ride. But it is interesting that he does the cartoon. Murphy's coming with the cameraman.
Doesn't like the Dutch angle.
There's a lot of them. There's an awful lot of them.
Dude.
But it flashes from super bright to super dark lighting a lot, and that might just be the video quality, but it's like so much inconsistency in the lighting tone.
Look, Murphy believes in peace across Earth, except for the bloody Dutch.
This is my favorite lines from Austin Powers Goldmember. There's two things. There's two things I hate in this world. What's that? People that hate the people that are intolerant of others because of their country or their race or religion, and the Dutch.
And the bloody Dutch.
It's just like one negates the other. It's so good.
They do that same joke in Euro Trip, and he's like, we all need to come together and show respect to each other's cultures, except for those fucking eye ties, he says. And it's like, I fucking hate those Italian bastards. Hey, lads. Hey.
I can't believe Euro Trip's getting a shout out on their show.
Michael Chan's very own.
Chan loves
one
it.
of his. Yeah, I did like a 3-hour podcast on Eurotrip with Michael and Jessica.
Fair change.
I mean, that movie actually was not bad. Like it was pretty fun, if I recall correctly when I saw it.
And he told me not to release it.
Really?
Yeah.
You loved it too much? You didn't want to?
No, it was so long ago that we did the podcast. He doesn't want to. He asked for it not to be released. So.
Aw, come on, Michael. Let the world know about your love of Eurotrip. Release
Eurotrip now.
Release Eurotrip.
He can't be seen as liking Eurotrip.
There's like some line in it where he really shits on Star Trek, and then it's like he's like worried about his career. Yeah. So we cut to her, being coerced by these mutants to come, or by Frost and Banshee to come to the school. So on the way there, they pick up the other mutant from the bus stop, who is Skin, Angelo, who's on his way there as well. The two meet each other. And it seems like they might be setting up that these two might have a dalliance themselves. Like they seem like they're kind of, shy teenagers with each other, but then they don't capitalize on that.
Terrible writing. They're going to pair off everybody. If this show
they don't pair off anybody because he ends up going with the human lady later.
Yeah, that's true.
So then we cut.
Yeah. So my issue is coming.
Look at where is City
where's
Hall?
Where's the mother?
It's also a nightclub.
Everything's City Hall a nightclub too. Like, where's their purple and green lighting coming from around like the police station? Like, it's
purple.
This takes place in the same universe as Batman Forever, with all that the multicolored spray paint and the gangs that like.
I love how Gotham went from like a Lovecraft inspired like 50s era looking city to like a 90s disco club,
like with black lights everywhere.
I wonder what kind of like restructuring gentrification Gotham went through between Batman's 2 and 3. Like they're like the city planners are like, now we got to get rid of all this Gothic architecture. We got to get rid of all this. What we need is giant. And then at number 4, they have giant fucking statues all over the city that are bigger than buildings that they like drive cars up and down. And Oh, it's so bad.
Do they have like a gigantic like floodlight and they just put like one color over it? Like we're gonna just put purple, like neon purple, right?
Yeah.
Just to highlight see or green in this case, green.
I have some lights I use for when I do like podcast filming and filming.
Play nice there, World Mind Murphy. Play nice. And from Earth, great movie.
Listen, this isn't a Marvel movie. I don't want people watching this to have to have watched everything the United Federation of Podcasts puts out before they get your little notes. The Chan cut of spare change. The Chan.
Save the Chan cut verse, everyone.
It's 6 hours. It's black and white.
Michael Chan hates every European nation. That's what he doesn't want you to know.
Oh my God.
Our civil disobedience. We got kicked out of Young and Dundas.
That's right. You can't go back to China. So we cut back to basically we see Tresh unhinging more as he explains his dream device, which he took from Emma Frost when he worked in this program with her. And he wants to use it to go into people's dreams. And then he reminds him that we have this board meeting. He wants to present to the board that he wants to use the dream machine. I'm going to keep calling it dream machine because it's fun. To go
what
into
else could you call it?
People's dreams. Dream Weaver. Can we get the rights to that? We could have used that in here. But he says let's not go far enough. Let's just stick with the normal plans. And you can tell that this is upsetting Tresh, who just sort of agrees.
I want a dream lover. So
like it's so transparently. Alone. He's so ridiculously cartoony in everything. And then at the end, the guy's like, "Okay, so we're not going to talk about the dream machine. You're just going to go in and give the normal presentation, right?" And he's just like, "Okay," and he goes back to what he's doing. And you're like,
"He's like, look, they're not as smart as you.
Yeah.
They won't get the dream machine thing. So let's not even talk about it and make them feel bad." So,
as a big fan of Rick and Morty, I do enjoy the guy that's smarter than everyone else in the room and doesn't suffer fools. But this guy is like some ridiculous cartoony version of that.
Not like Rick Sanchez is a ridiculous cartoony version of that.
Well, he is, but he's very grounded in some deep mental health issues, which are explored in the show. Like there's this isn't a Rick and Morty podcast, which we should do because I'm a massive fan of that show. But because I mentioned that Davan's now going to steal it and give it to United Federation, someone else is going to do it. So
you lost your other idea to Zeitgeist, my friend.
Oh yes, that's what happened.
What was the other idea?
I said I wanted to do a gargoyle show, and then Davan went and gave it to everyone else.
No, I didn't. Independently, yes, Murphy and Dave said, "Hey, let's do a gargoyles podcast," and I said, "That's when I said that was Andre's idea." So I had your
and
back,
then you
buddy.
said, "Let's not do it, and let's let Andre do it," because it was his idea, right? Is that what happened next?
No. Because Zeitgeist, you're gonna lose everything in the world to Zeitgeist.
Zeitgeist, but no, there's
if you get an idea and don't act on it, it's not your idea anymore.
Well, I did. You can't do it all.
You gotta mail it to yourself. Self-addressed stamp envelope.
That's right. Well, apparently
that doesn't work.
Not anymore.
No, that's meaningless now.
Mm. So there's a certain burden to intelligence in a world where it's not necessarily. I mean, it is rewarded when you create an iPhone or do something that the masses can use. But if you're just really, really smart and you're surrounded by people that are so far below you, there's a certain sadness to that, a loneliness, if you will. I'm not saying
I understand that. I understand that a lot.
So you get a bit of that in this, but overall, he's just so ridiculously insane. And he does give off like 4chan, like 4chan otaku culture, like incel vibes later for some of his comments.
So it's about a woman, and he's just like, isn't it always?
Yeah, he calls her like but actually I like that line a lot, but especially with this character because he is very much like I like this woman and she won't give me the time of day, so I'm going to destroy her kind of vibe a bit about that. And other things he says too. Did you guys notice the profanity in your versions? Did you guys watch those ones?
So I watched one that has ADR covering up the profanity, but there's some lines that kind of risque. So
they say fucking shit a couple times in my version. It's the UK version where they don't.
Oh, I never did see that version.
So I need to get a copy of that version.
It's the one on YouTube, the Retro Channel one.
That's the one I watched on YouTube.
Yeah, they say fucking. She says I fucking shit a couple times when her and Angela are talking. Also, there's a line where he says, Refrax says, "How can I concentrate while relaxing?" And then she says, "Think in the edited Fox version." She says, "Think about something about sitting on your butt or sitting on the toilet."
No, in the version I had, they said, "Make believe you're playing with yourself, Kurt."
Yeah, that's the UK version. That's what you watched.
Well, mine did not have swearing in it.
Oh, so Jubilee does say
multi-
fucking shit a couple times.
So the biggest example that I can tell in terms of mine was being edited is there's ADR when Buff is in the bathroom and Refrax.
Yeah. So my version had the actual one. In your version, he says, "I could see your glutes."
Yeah, I can see your glutes, and then she comes out, says, that I know you can't see because it's a lead line door, but once you do, I'm gonna rip off your head and attach it to his butt.
Yeah, and then but in the version that I heard, he says, "Nice beaver." That's the version I heard. So that's and also later, and I don't know if they would have changed this one. But when trying to threaten Angelo, he says he's going to mind rape his little girlfriend, and which is also a bit intense for the TV.
He doesn't say that in the version I saw.
Yeah, so there's a couple things in this that are edgy-ish. I mean, I know they're trying to push the envelope here, but so then they arrive at the Xavier School. Side note, which you guys may also not know, this is the same place they filmed the Xavier School for X-Men's 1, 2, 3, and so forth. It's the same place.
Oh, okay, not Casa Loma, which they use for the exteriors, but this is like the actual place they did the interiors for. Okay, cool.
The mansion used Hatley Castle was used as Xavier's school in the films X-Men, X2, X3, Days of Future Past, Deadpool, and X-Men Apocalypse. They used other locations to portray parts of the school, but Hatley Castle was what they used for all the interiors, I guess.
Yeah,
it's also where they filmed Luther's mansion in Smallville and the Queen family mansion on Arrow.
So much WB double duty.
Oh well, it's a fancy ass looking place.
Yeah.
So we get to see the inside of the X Mansion, and it even says Xavier School for the Gifted outside, which is interesting as we never see Xavier or hear really any mention to them or anything else going on here. You think the fact that Xavier has another team of mutants out running and saving the world would be pertinent information.
Yeah. This scene is just awkward and unnecessary.
Yeah, it's supposed to titillate, but it's so dumb that I don't even understand why. So they have to get naked to get into this machine to get scanned as part of the intake process.
Yeah. Go ahead.
She's obviously nervous about it, and we learned from that video she's 15. And I know Emma's the one that's like helping her, get undressed and for the scanning. It's not like the guys are staring at her; she's behind a screen. But it's still like, what is the purpose of this scene? There's no need for it whatsoever. Yeah, but all you can see is
he's just attracted to skin in all of its forms. It's just part of his mutant power.
Apparently so.
And she just dabs she puts something on her just below her shoulder.
Her clavicle, it's like on a clavicle bone or something. Like
it's like, is that what was needed? Could she just pull down a shirt?
And they do all these close-ups of Jubilee looking really uncomfortable while she's doing it. Like it just and then Skin kind of smiles like he's into it. Just
and they're like, "You're next."
Yeah, and then she makes a joke that he's next. He's like, "Oh shit, I gotta show my penis." That's not what his voice sounds like.
He can stretch it. Don't worry.
Oh God, I never thought of that.
Is he circumcised?
Ooh, good to know. Well, we do ask that. He does ask that later. Are you referencing a later line?
No.
There's a later line. There is a later line where Matt Frewer's character asks him if he's circumcised. So I no lie. I thought you were so deep into your love of Generation X, the TV film, that you're foreshadowing.
We're coming up to the parts where I could, at a time, line for line, a good portion of the banter between Skin, Mondo, Refax, Monet, and Jubilee. I knew it cold. My sister knew it cold. We would run the lines back and forth.
Refrax's real name, or his name in the movie, so not his mutant name, but his actual name is, where's it at here? It's ridiculous. Kurt Pastorius.
Kurt Pistorius.
Pastorius.
Lord.
Why give us Chamber when you can give us Kurt Pastorius?
Well, there's a reason we didn't get those characters. It's because of the budget. We didn't get Chamber and Husk because the budget wouldn't allow for them to show the characters. So Scott Lobdell actually wrote new characters for the movie for this to be used in the thoughts that if they become popular, maybe he could use them in the comics, which did not happen.
Refrax was never going to become popular.
I thought Buff could have.
Buff's not bad, although I kind of feel like the reason she's so ashamed of her body kind of seems dumb to me. But
yeah,
well, that's more like, remember back then versus now.
Yeah, I suppose. But like her thing is she's scared. She doesn't want to show her body because it's too buff, and her name is Buff. She's like she's ashamed of her body for being too jacked. Like it's like I guess
Instagram.
I guess it's like the normal thing where you always idolize the body type you don't have. So perhaps she wants more femininity and feels like, it's a turn off for guys if she's too muscular. But
seeing how, how level-headed and humble M is.
Yeah, of course.
I'm sure it doesn't wonder for
walking
her.
around with her cleavage busting out all over the place. Like, look at me.
I'm perfect.
Well, there's sort of a vibe about that. Like at one point later, Tresh calls her a psycho slut or something, which means obviously he has a problematic opinion of women as only being sexual objects, essentially. Yeah. And some other of his dialogue implies that as well. But he's just such a nerdy looking skinny dude that I can't imagine he has a lot of luck with the ladies. No offense, Matt Frewer, if you're listening, which I'm sure you are. I do love you. You're a fantastic actor, and you're in a lot of wonderful things that I do like.
And you probably get lots of the ladies.
Oh, well, yeah. But he was on Mick Garris's podcast a while ago because they worked together in a bunch of his movies, and it was just sort of talking about his life. He seems like a really grounded, normal person, all said and done. But he, yeah. So anyway, the mutants get to meet each other, the ones that are already at the school, and this is where we meet the others. We get Mondo, played by Bumper Robinson.
Robinson, yes.
He's a fellow Robinson. Oh, really?
No, he's from the Cosby Show and a lot of other, 80s and 90s movies.
He was on the Cosby Show. I knew I recognized him from somewhere.
Yeah.
We meet Amaryllis, who is, I guess, M is her name?
Monet St. Croix.
Monet St. Croix.
She's Penance in the comics, right?
She becomes,
yes and no.
Well, so
that's a whole thing.
Well, yeah,
she's just simply called M in this for some reason. I guess it's just mutant. They didn't get imagine.
No, that's what she goes by in the comics as well.
That's her character. But she also does refer to herself as Monet.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
She's supposed to be perfect. She's supposed to be perfect, I guess. So it's like the painting. I get it. Okay, so Mondo. Then we have Arlie Hicks, who is Buff, who we talked about, is the blonde girl that wears baggy sweat clothes because she's hiding her buff body because she has a incredibly dense muscle mass. Beaver
canoe outfits and
a lot of big bulky hider body type clothing.
I feel like this was written to never get past this pilot because so they were just going to keep her in sweatpants for two seasons.
No, at the end of the episode, he got her in the costume. So they were heading that way.
What was going to end up happening is she would learn to love herself.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and she would be
and they'd have to get really close with the editing because the woman that plays her is not a big buff person, but when they show her changing, they obviously body swap her with a muscular
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Well, he's never been that cut. He was always in good shape, but not that. He's lean and muscular, but this person was a bulky, muscular lady. That when they see her back and stuff, and then the last being Kurt Pistorius or Refrax, as we mentioned earlier, who is a strikingly handsome person when he takes his glasses off. He kind of reminds me of a young Spike from Buffy with the hair and everything. But anyway, so they're all playing football. They're all bantering with each other, and they're hazing the new guys, making fun of his skin powers. They do play a little bit of football, and Skin's arm gets stuck on Mondo, who runs and stretches him out, so we all get to see his abilities while he screams in abject horror, as like in pain, as his body's being torn apart. Something I think this is the last time we see him actively, seemingly to be in pain when this happens. Maybe it's only if, this could maybe be an explanation. Maybe it's only if it happens and he doesn't want it to happen. Is it painful? Because in the other instances, he actually stretches while thinking about it, like he wants to stretch. So perhaps if it's, not something he had intended for to happen, unintentional, it's painful. That's my head,
because it makes this slightly better.
That's my headcanon, so I'll let it go.
Yeah.
So this is where Jubilee has a talk with M, who explains what Buff's deal is and how her body's so horrible that she doesn't want anyone to see it, which is like makes it sound like it's all scarred and stuff, not just that she's muscular. Yeah. So and M explains her own powers, which is she's like the best at everything. She's super strong, super agile, blah blah blah. And she's gorgeous.
Fly, super smart, can't get disease.
She's the perfect 10, apparently.
Jubilee, of course, in the comics.
Jubilee, of course, is like, well, you're so humble. And then she's like, don't mistake this for, I'm just telling you who not to mess with, which seems very much like a threat.
Yeah, which is good to show the rivalry.
In the very end line.
The scene that you have in front of you is possibly one of my favorite scenes in all of X-Men. All together, live action.
Really?
Yes.
He's chirping him for being kind of chunky.
Yeah,
essentially. Yeah. He's
like, "Are you getting the proper nutrition?" It's like, "Bing, bang, bing."
Yeah.
It's like wood, rock, steel. It's all good. What happens when you eat Jello? Essay. Now I don't like Jello. I know you don't like Jello. I'm still big. You huge.
Yeah. It does do a good job of showing the dynamic. Like you can see that Buff actually is incredible, or not Buff. Mondo is incredibly insecure, and his friend recognizes that, so tries to prop him up when he can. Then we get the scene we mentioned earlier where they're in the bathroom, and Refrax makes a joke about being able to see Buff's beaver. In the version I saw, glutes in the other edited version. She comes out, threatens, says she knows because of the lead line door. What is he, Superman? Like lead stops him? So that's only a Superman thing. So anyway,
well, it's like X-rays.
X-rays. Yeah, I guess that's why. But
of course, in this gigantic castle, one bathroom for all the 6 students.
Exactly. And then when Skin makes a joke about Mondo, he grabs him by the chest and pulls his skin out.
Give me some skin.
Yeah, nice one. Give me some skin, and just like slaps him and pulls it all out.
Don't awaken the dragon.
I like how like it seems like these two are the bullies, and they're really not at all. Because when it comes to a situation later where they'll get a band together, they just do instantly, and it's all fine. So
it's kind of like the dynamic that Angelo had back home, where he's like, "Don't let anyone call you a freak. That's our term." Yeah. Right, for you. Like we call you a freak.
That's our term for you. So Emma's giving them some a lesson on their latent psychic abilities, and she has these little cards that allow her to that have sayings on the back, and they want them to concentrate on them and try to figure out what they are. It's very much like Bill Murray in Ghostbusters.
See, this had to die. This series had to die based on this whole mutants all have mental powers thing. It's like it ruins the whole world.
Jubilee gets them pretty quickly, but as she gets each of them, you see that Skin is getting them as well because he's writing them down before she gets a chance to say them. So he has the powers too, but isn't really willing to talk about them for some reason. We then cut to Skin getting additional training in monitoring the security system in a Kobayashi Maru type situation where he just totally mucks it up, gets everyone killed in the simulation. Banshee gives him some tips saying like you did well up until this point where you panicked and then it all went to hell. So we're going to go through it again and again and again until you have the system figured out.
Yeah,
it's a lot of. There seems to really lull in the middle of this movie where they're just sort of learning their shit. It's very piloty, where it's like this is how everything works.
Yeah, they're building out the world, so like, and they're setting up things about what happens next because he tells Skin, "I want you to go ahead and get to know every single piece of equipment in the entire school." which would include the Dream Machine. Right?
No, but it's hidden behind a firewall, which he gets into. So
yeah, but like technically was given the okay to learn everything, right?
Mhm.
It's this show is one of the few examples in live action of, you know, the students being taught something, right? It rarely happened where they're talking about dream dimensions. And I'm going to talk about that later on when we're talking about connections to the MCU, because it does kind of line up a little bit. But
these characters are all going to show up in Secret Wars.
Oh, geez.
That'd be amazing,
dude. I would freak out so much.
now that Jonathan Majors is out, they just bring in Raymond Tresh as the new villain.
Bring in Refrax
for the Secret Wars film. He just escapes from the dream dimension.
I don't need James Marsden. I need Refrax.
Wouldn't that be so fucking amazing if they're like, oh, you weren't paying attention, you didn't watch everything, you didn't watch that made-for-TV movie from 1996, and now you got to go catch up. You get a 40.
Why is this not on Disney Plus?
That's good. Well, because that's a good question, because Fox owns it, right?
Yeah,
it should be. I mean, it's objectively terrible. Maybe it's the same reason why the Star Wars Holiday Special isn't on Disney Plus.
It's Star Wars. You know, there's more than enough bad stuff that they just let go.
No, you leave your Star Wars hate at the door here, buddy.
Twist that knife.
Knife. Yeah, so we do. This is where we see, and then we also see past all this, we do see Matt Frewer. Oh wait, is this in this scene? Is it? That's later. I think you jumped ahead.
Put it out of order. It's fine.
Yeah, you put it out of order. It's all right. So we're at Tresh talking with the corporate.
Definitely not out of order.
No, it is right. Oh no, you are, but you're behind. What's next? But then you went to what's no. This stuff is what this is way ahead. Them playing pool and him blowing up the TV is way ahead.
Okay.
Them in the library that's all the training stuff. But then there's it's past all that. So then now we're at Raymond Tresh, who is getting ready for his little presentation, and this is where he says the line, "We want that psycho slut." They ask what he wants from all of this, and he mentions how the Dream Machine again was something that Emma had in there. And that he had taken it from her, and that it's always about a woman. This line that we said earlier, and then he says, "There, now we're here. We're here."
There you go. Okay.
Jesus Christ. So then he says, "What'll make you happy?" And he says, "When that psycho slut is on her knees in front of me and anoints me as her god."
Yeah, that is what he says. Yeah.
The incel vibe maybe from the internet, maybe from the dream dimension. He influences 4chan. That's what he realized.
I am a gangly god.
He's like this balding, skinny dude who's just is so upset that the girl with the big boobs doesn't like him that he's going to destroy the whole world.
Oh yes, going into town. I wish the passage of time was detailed a little bit better. Like, it's been months, it isn't just all of a sudden we got 2 new recruits. Now we're going to let people go into town.
Yeah. Another thing I want to just to tie up the Tresh and corporate schlub guy thing. He's putting on lipstick. It seems like the guy's talking to him and he's got like his thing and he's just putting I don't know if it's chapstick or lipstick, but it's very strange. Anyway, the kids want to go into town. Banshee's going to take them in, but then Refrax convinces him because they have their licenses, to let them drive in on their own. He says they have a curfew, make sure they're home by it, and lets them go.
Thong and Muscle.
Thong and Muscle magazine, as we see. So we see Buff looking at clothing, but then not wanting to try and even on because she hates her body, as we learned earlier. Jubilation Lee convinces her to go in the change room and try on these clothes. She doesn't want to. So there's a section before where they're looking at that Thong and Muscle magazine, and then Refrax mentions how he likes Buff, and Mondo's like, "What? She's like not like fat is what he thinks because the clothes she wears." And then he says, "No, she's super buff. Like I got to feel when we were playing during the football, which implied like he could tell she was in really good shape." So then we see her. She wants to wear this like Jubilation. Lee's trying to get her to wear these nice clothing. She doesn't want to, but then she says she'll go try it on. She goes into the changing room. Get her practice. Jubilee follows her in and then sees her super muscular back. Buff gets upset and kicks her out of the room so she can change back into her frumpy clothing.
Oh, yes.
There's a line where Mondo goes when him and Refrax are talking. He goes, "You mean to tell me big bad Buff-a-roos, babe?" Which I think is a really good line.
Competing with the townies.
Yeah. So earlier, Angela made eye contact with a pretty girl who seemed to notice him back. The friends, her friends, were dismissive, but there's some smiles, some interactions. We cut to that same girl with her jock football friends and other jerk girlfriends at a eating establishment. Angela comes in. One of the girls says that's the creep that's been following us. The other girl says no, but the jock goes and invites him to their table and then pushes his face in some ice cream. His friends at the other table see this. Oh wait, is this right here where this happens? Or maybe that's later where he gets pushed in the ice cream. Is that right here? I thought it was a little later on where that happened. They push his face in the ice cream and he takes off. I thought there was a fight, but that happens later.
No.
So then we see him working on the learning all the machinery in the school, and then he manages to break into a section that he was supposed to be locked out of and finds the dream machine that was in the books he was reading. Because Emma, in the library, they found a book that Emma had written about the dream dimension, the dream machine, all this sort of stuff. So now he's putting it all together.
Mutant metaphysics.
It's right. Mm-hmm. Although, it's very specific on dreams only, it seems. So then we get what is quite possibly one of the most sophomoric scenes that could have ever been made, in which Tresh finally gives this presentation to the board of directors. Yeah, and talks. You think this is great? You enjoyed this, did you, Davan? You can never speak ill of any movie that is considered a cult classic or anything else on your show if you like this scene, because all credibility is tossed out the window. So we got this frumpy board of directors. Look at that guy. He's like, "What?
What is happening here?"
That's some crisp acting right there. Look at that guy.
This guy's like, "My God."
That's 4 years of Juilliard right there. So Matt Frewer basically explains, after being told not to talk about it, goes straight into talking about his dream machine. And he's going to market it out to all the kids. And of course, the board is noticeably disturbed. Then he tells them that he visited all their dreams last night and implanted a suggestion in them. But before that, he makes a joke about how one of the board members should buy that cocktail dress because he has the right figure for it. To which that guy, looks obviously embarrassed. So this was something he was dreaming about, which is just shaming the poor guy, whatever his sexual proclivities are. Who cares? But anyway, so
that's the 90s. 90s was pretty much 90% body shaming and making fun of people and like
gay people too, right? Like a lot of stuff.
Everything. Yeah.
So then we quickly learn that right at 10 o'clock, when the clock hits 10, they're all going to release gas, essentially. So it's a mixture of farts and burping that happens all around the table once it hits 10. Nice joke. He does kind of look like Dexter from Offspring as well. But anyway, so they all fart themselves, and then he makes a joke about that and waves off the smell from his face and all this ridiculously sophomore goofy bullshit that this brought this thing back several ticks because of the scene alone. You couldn't make them all get sick or fall asleep or vomit or want to eat or make out with each other. You had to have them all fart. It's ridiculous. So anyway, we see Skin tell Jubilation Lee about the device, and they're going to go give it a try at nighttime. At the same time this is happening, we learn that the board of directors is meeting with the schlub to talk about how they got to fire Tresh. And then Tresh is surprised to learn that he's dreaming this whole thing and that Tresh is in his dream watching his actual opinion of what's going to happen to him. Then this scene actually is pretty cool, where he makes him birds flying all around him and then takes him to the window and convinces him to jump out of it, to which he does. But he's like, fly like a bird. And then he thinks he's in a dream. He jumps and falls through the window. Now, it's kind of vague and not really explained if the guy actually jumped out a window and died. It seems like he did, but it's not actually explained or referenced ever again.
This is basically a scene from Freddy Krueger Dream Warriors.
It actually reminded me of a little bit of, once again, back to Jim Carrey's Riddler, the scene where he tossed the guy out the window at the beginning of Batman Forever. Well, he throws him out through the chair, and then he changes the video to look like he committed suicide. But so, yeah, but I guess he makes him sleepwalk and throw himself out the window. That's what it seems to happen, but it seems like it's all just in his dream. It's not actually like, at no point do they reference this guy's dead or anything else like that. It's the last we see of him.
Nobody cared.
So they want to try the dream machine.
There's no one to fund his research anymore.
Well,
so
exactly.
that's why. So that's why they take him from the machine.
Well, they must have possibly learned that he killed this guy too, right? That's kind of the vibe I got.
I thought it was just the money.
No,
there's no more money to fund it.
Yeah.
So that's how I always assumed it when I watched it.
No, that would make sense. So Jubilee convinces him to put her in the machine because he's the only one that really understands it after studying all the books and stuff. So she goes in and to go see her parents in their dreams, and then sees that her dad is upset that she won't talk to them and feels bad about what happened. She gets a chance to tell him in the dream that it's okay, but then that's interrupted by Matt Frewer, who's found her in the dreamscape because he's out there. He makes some comments about her body and stuff and how cute she is. Very rapey adult vibes, which is pretty gross. Scares her out of the machine. She, for some reason, can't explain what happened to her enough to tell him not to go in. She just keeps saying it's really weird. You don't want to do it. And then it's so like, that's like me saying this saying like, oh man, there's something really fucked up behind that door. You don't want to look at it. And then walking, and then not just saying, well, hey, there's like, a cat getting ripped apart in that room. You don't want to go in there. Like I said, just giving the details. It's like giving him enough information to make him to want to go do it, but not actually explaining why he shouldn't. So he goes in the machine and then meets the dream. First he's looking in the window.
Meet Freddy.
I love how he's in a dream. So it's his dream. He can do whatever he wants, right? It's not like, instead of going in the room and watching the girl you like brush her hair, in the dream, he's out on the street looking through the window. Like even his dream self is creepier, right? Like you're in a dream.
He gives himself barriers. He's like, I'm not gonna go that far.
I'm not that guy.
That's fair.
That guy.
So he's approached by Matt Frewer, who says that explains a bit that he's traveling the dream ways and that this girl that he likes through the window, he's going to help him and implants a suggestion in her, which is never fixed later that she like him. So it kind of taints this whole relationship later.
Yeah.
But the only reason she really likes him, I mean, it was shown that she kind of liked him before, but it really seems like everything that comes later with her liking him is all from being a suggestion or dream.
It's a love potion number 9 issue.
Yes, that's a good point. So, he does a favor for him, and then he suddenly gets pulled into a pit when the police bust into his laboratory and pull him out of the machine. But then Skin grabs him before he can be lost in the abyss and brings him back. So he's still on the dream plane, dreamscape, whatever. But then we see that his body's comatose in the real world because he was taken off the machine before he came out of the dream, which is something they talked about you don't do earlier.
Yeah.
So then he wanders off, saying he has stuff to do in the dreams, and we'll find out. This scene here, when Jubilee and Skin are talking about what happened, is where all the cursing happens. She says to him, "Are you fucking nuts? That was the scariest thing I've ever felt in my entire life." She said, "I cosmically shit my fucking pants." These are the lines she says.
Which is so.
It's the only time. It's the only time in the whole movie they say shit or fuck, which is very strange.
But at that point, just seems unnecessary.
It very much does.
And it couldn't be put on the platform that they were putting this out for anyway. So what is the point?
Yeah,
well, if they were showing it internationally,
it's probably cut as a movie and put in theaters internationally.
Oh my gosh! To be able to see this in theaters, that
would have been amazing.
Wow!
I think we'll get the 4K release for this one.
Oh, I would love that.
I doubt it. There's a bunch of shows that will never get Blu-ray or 4K releases because of the way they were filmed.
Yeah.
Like they will only ever be DVD quality, and that's it. Like Erie, Indiana is one that'll never get a remaster because the way it was filmed. And I've been rewatching it lately, and it's a shame that you can't see better stuff.
Maniac Mansion, probably.
Like Due South, probably, and those sort of shows. I can't imagine. I don't know if they would go through the money to rescan them all to make Blu-rays anyway. But so then we see Refrax asking Buff out on a date. You know, she thinks he's being a dick, but he actually legitimately wants to go out with her. There's a bunch of stuff that happens kind of fast here that's not super important. We see Buddy trying to feed Tresh, who's still in a coma at the sanitarium where they have him at. We see Refrax and Buff on their date at the park. We see Em going around winning all the prizes, showing off her strength. And then Skin is approached by the girl, Katie, I think her name is, if I recall correctly, who he likes. She wants to walk off with him. He thinks she doesn't want to be seen with him, but she just wants to have some alone time. Of course, they're interrupted by the bullies who, you know, try to pick a fight with him. And then his friends from the school come to his aid, and they get in a big fight. And then get arrested. So then we see.
Yeah, they obviously picked Mondo because they felt they could afford to make his powers, but they don't let him do anything.
Yeah.
Mondo,
well, the guy punches him and breaks his hand on his face because he touched a rock before the fight.
Welcome to Hastings, butt breath.
Yeah.
Yes.
You really do have a love for this, Jaemeel. Like,
I do. Like, I seriously, like, I can't. It's part of me. Like, part of like when you're.
It's a nostalgia itch for you. You watch this when you're a kid, and as a kid, like for us, this is why the X-Men cartoon is so much weight too. That like there was a real desert of comic book content in film and television. You got the cartoons, the old Spider-Man cartoon, the old Fast Four cartoon, the old Hulk one. Then you got the new X-Men cartoon, the new Spider-Man cartoon, and then there was an Iron Man one, and a Hulk one, kind of around this time period. Those are all cartoons. Silver Surfer 1-2 was around the early mid-90s. But for live action stuff, all you got was like the Captain America movie, the Spider-Man TV show that didn't last very long.
Well, the two Captain America movies.
That's right. The other one, the old one, and then the one
Meteor Man.
Matt Salinger.
Meteor Man, yes. Golden Lords.
That was not a comic book originally, but it was a great movie. Blank Man.
It's a Marvel character. That should be in Secret Wars.
Meteor Man shows up. You had like the made for TV movies. There's that weird 70s Doctor Strange movie. There was the Nick Fury movie, the Punisher movie, all those ones that are all bad. Like it's a lot of
Howard the Duck.
Oh, I forgot about Howard the Duck.
The worst of them all.
Really? No, it's
worst.
No, that Captain America one's the worst.
The Matt Salinger Captain America movie is pretty bad. That Nick Fury movie is not great either with David
Hasselhoff. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Hoff elevates it.
I don't know about elevate. I mean, he did look the part, I guess, kind of.
Yeah, but they were like at this time at Fox, they were trying to like throw everything at the wall. There was
this one they're trying to come out of bankruptcy.
Model X. They had a Model X Vigilante, a Model Vigilante TV pilot. I only remember it because David Faustino from Married with Children. They used him to advertise it.
Interesting,
right? On Fox. Mantis had a season or two.
Oh yeah, remember they had, was it Nightman, the Malibu comic had a series for a little while.
Yeah,
there's they tried the Savage Dragon cartoon, which only lasted a season or two.
They threw everything they could at the wall.
Well, that Birds of Prey TV show that only lasted a season.
Original.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of bad. I remember I was so excited to watch that. Like my grandparents had cable, and I went and stayed with them so I could watch it one night when I was on. And I remember, like as a kid, just being like, "Oh, there's all these characters that you never see in anything," and it's so bad if you look back on it. Like, so bad.
So when people talk about like, "Oh, this movie was bad," like talking about like a modern comic book movie, like.
You don't know how bad it could have been.
Like we've seen what bad looks like, and as much as we don't like a Love and Thunder, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's not as bad as A, B, C. Like our knowledge.
Our own child.
Yes, Basically, we were starving in the desert.
This is the equivalent of like when I was a kid, I had to walk to school both ways uphill conversation, but with comic book movies. You're like, you don't understand how you don't understand how good you guys have it. For every Love and Thunder or Quantumania, we had this. This is what we had.
Back in our day, our early X-Men villains were Matt Frewer and a Freddy Krueger impression.
It's more of a Matt Frewer doing a mask impression.
They used their powers twice in a 2-hour movie. That's what you got.
So we see in the dream world, he's going to visit Katie in her dreams, and they start making out. Although she could still be just liking him because of the inception, if you will, that Matt Frewer did to her. So, but then he's interrupted by Frewer. Is that here? Let me see here.
The dance scene is like the most entertaining part of this movie. The little dance number.
Oh, right. They do have a weird little dance number together, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that isn't. Yeah. So then he's interrupted. I think so then he leaves. Does he go back to his own? Yeah. So he has the dalliance with her. Just they dance together and whatever. Then he goes to bed. Then in his actual dream, he's met by Matt Frewer, who is trapped in the dream dimension and learns during their conversation that he accessed the dream dimension through the chair, and then realizes that Emma Frost is what led this guy to get into the dream world, and that this guy is his trick to getting back out of it. So he threatens to mind rape his girlfriend, as I said earlier, pulling her right out like that, and then like just pushing her down out of the way when he's done. He's like
back to bed,
back to bed, like so that. If he doesn't help him, so what he needs him to do
that confrontation
is actually really good. It's really good.
The previous one, when they're in what I believe to be a reference to the Danger Grotto, which is what the Danger Room was for the Generation X team, which was like a kind of
grotto. They couldn't get their own room. They got a grotto.
That's what they called it. That's what they legit called it, the Danger Grotto.
Interesting. So, like Frewer actually, like this version of him in this confrontation where he's threatening this kid is actually quite good. The cartoony stuff does come in a bit too much, but this is where you see his power as an actor and how maybe given the right script or this character not made such a cartoon character, he would have been very disturbing. He tells him that he's going to dream rape his girlfriend, and he'll never have a good night's sleep for the rest of his life. He'll haunt him basically forever unless he does this. So he takes to help him get back to his body. So he needs to take the helmet from the place, bring it to his body, and hook him up so they can get back to his physical form. So he does. He breaks into the hospital, brings him back, helps him escape essentially from this place, and then Matt Frewer instantly turns on him and I don't understand this. So Matt Frewer just turns and says, "There's one last thing I need from you, your brain," and then we cut to him chained up in Matt Frewer's laboratory about to get his brain cut open. Now, Husk has powers. Matt Frewer doesn't have powers at this point. What did I say? Husk. Sorry.
You called him Husk.
Yeah, similar, whatever. Skin powers. So I guess Mondo's closer to Husk than Skin, but Skin has powers and can probably defend himself, but just somehow gets overpowered or taken down.
Blue Skin.
Or strangle him,
while screaming in pain. Ah!
So Frewer basically explains how he only needs one little piece from the pineal gland in the mutant for his studies, but he's got to drill through his head to get it, so he's not going to survive, and all it's going to happen in the morning, basically. So Skin uses latent psychic powers to reach out and talk to Jubilee in her dream and tell her that he's in trouble. Jubilee explains the weirdo she met in her dreams to Emma. Oh, I forgot a little chunk of something. So all the kids are going to get punished by Emma and expelled from the school for getting in the fight with the normies. I was going to call them the normal folk.
Yeah.
And then Banshee talks to Redovik because they wouldn't have any students in the school if she banned them all. And then this is so shoehorned in because then she's like, well, what if they all get killed? And Banshee's like, they're not the Hellions, and she they all died and you couldn't have saved them. And then she just looks sad. Maybe this would have came up later. It probably would have been expounded upon in a future episode or TV film, but we don't get any of that later. That's the extent of how much we learned about that. So obviously Emma doesn't want to lose any more people. but not enough to stop teaching apparently. So
Man, a New Mutants Hellion show would have been better. But yeah, anyway.
So then we cut to when Jubilee explains the weirdo in her dreams, Emma figures out that it was Tresh. And then they break into his facility and have a big fight with him, throwing him through a wall. But then it appears as though his latent mutant power is activated because of his time in the dream dimension. So he has all these dream powers. He's all big and he can do all kinds of funky stuff.
He's like, I am omnipotent.
Yeah, it's very vague about what he actually is, and if they're not in a dream, but he makes a hole in the wall to the dream dimension.
Because remember, if you have the power of the dream dimension, you can be unstoppable because there's nothing that can stop a thought.
Well, they stop this guy pretty easily. All they do is make him fall in a hole, and he's done. So basically, they have this big fight in the dream dimension, and then Emma's going to sacrifice himself to drag him down into a hole and save everybody. But then Skin goes and does it instead. And they think he's gone, but he manages to stretch. Like, they're falling for quite a while, and then he manages to stretch all the way back so they can grab his hand and pull him back up, leaving Tresh to fall for eternity, I guess. Very much like Apocalypse did in the Nexus of Time. So then we cut to the kids all playing cards, and they'll get along now. And then we see Emma in a very, like, I love how TV has these sort of staged moments that would never happen in real life, but are so funny.
Stretching.
Like the kids are like, look at some good CGI effects for '96. So the kids are all like playing this weird card game, and then the doors bust open with smoke and lights, and Emma and Banshee walk out in their superhero costumes, and then like do a hard right turn. And then Buff walks out between them in her costume, which looks like the one from the Generation X costume, the all red one. Yeah. And says, like, how do you like your new uniforms, kids? And they're all like, oh, like, we're gonna get to, be heroes.
And
now.
she looks like a normal girl, like she's not even super buff or anything. She's just a normal girl.
Well, if you see her without her shirt on, or her back at least, she's super toy.
Those rippling back muscles
like a tiger.
That being said, I do appreciate how close the costume was.
Yeah, the costume
was the actual comic book costume.
Yep, good
costume
stuff.
looks pretty solid, I gotta say. And then we cut to old Raymond Tresh is back in his coma, his mind lost in the dream dimension, and that's the end.
Or the astral plane.
Well, it could be very similar.
Potato. They wanted to be everything. This is like 25 movies in ideas in one.
I mean, for what it was, like, if you think about what TV was at the time, it was like Buffy, it was Charmed, it was stuff like this, it was Hercules, it was Xena. Like, this isn't so far off the rails of what we were getting on television.
André, you're absolutely right, and let me give you an example as to what the climate was at that time. Because I was able to pull up the Wizard Guide to Comics article that talked about this movie not being picked up. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, the Mr. Freeze animated Batman movie was announced for 97, but they delayed it because they didn't want to make Batman and Robin seem even more ridiculous than it actually was. So that movie was Sub-Zero, which is fantastic.
Yeah, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin was not.
Yeah. Michael Jai White was cast as Spawn, was announced. Right?
Yeah, Spawn feels like it's from this era, that's for sure.
Roger Corman was making a Vampirella movie.
Right.
Wesley Snipes was in final negotiations to play Blade.
Yep.
Right. And Sabrina the Teenage Witch was announced to be a kid-friendly ABC sitcom. That was the time period that we were in. It was the before times.
Yes, long ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's about right. Like I said, this isn't so far off the rail. Like, there's that Canadian show Mutant X, which is very similar to this, that came a little later. Like,
I was gonna say that they might as well just have not done this and just waited to do Mutant X, because this is basically Mutant X.
That was
Davan, you're gonna take this away from me?
That's no, I would actually leave you this. I'll leave you this and take.
Mutant X was not a great show, dude. It really was not.
Mutant X was awful.
It gave Victoria Pratt work. Okay,
I tried to watch it and it was awful. Like, it was so like this quasi X-Men.
I actually liked John Shea as Luthor on Lewis and Clark.
Yes,
but he was a good Luthor.
before Michael Rosenbaum, it was him. That was really him. Perry White was Perry White was fantastic. Of course,
Jimmy was all right.
Sorry, yeah, Jimmy. Well, which one?
All right, the one that was in. I only remember the one that was in the Dungeons and Dragons movie. I can't remember.
Oh, so Justin. I used to have all these names committed to memory, and I feel bad now.
You and I are on like the same nostalgia plane in our brains, like because I remember all this stuff from being a kid.
Yeah. Cat Grant was played by Tracy Scroggins.
Remember Howie Mandel played Mr. Mixelplick?
Yes.
Yeah, like the golden era.
Each of us will have to look into his own heart and decide.
Decide.
Jaemeel, you first.
It's too hard. What? Okay.
Jameel's the 14-year-old Jaemeel inside the current Jaemeel is screaming 8 or 9.
The 14-year-old me, the 13-year-old, 14-year-old me would want to rate this a 10. But
even a 10 is perfect. Perfect. It's a perfect movie. Nothing is bad. Nothing
so
can be changed.
But being older and wiser, I'll give this a 4.5.
We don't do points here.
4.5.
Sorry, 4. Sorry.
Yeah, conviction. We're men of conviction on this show.
I've been around Dave too much, okay? Sorry.
Jaemeel, I was going to give this a 5, but I think you've convinced me to give it a 4 as well. It's a 4.
It's a 4.
It's a 4. Davan? Decide.
I was going to go like 3, but you've convinced me, Jaemeel. A 4.
We'll keep it up. Yay!
I boosted it up.
So just to reiterate, gentlemen, this is the first time we've seen any live action mutants in an X-Men universe, heard the name Xavier in a live action thing, any of this stuff, and it's a 4.
Didn't go well. Well,
just wait if I ever on a podcast about X-Men Apocalypse. It's you're playing limbo with that one. How low can I go? I hate that movie. X-Men Apocalypse.
You can come on it when we do it here. You can come on it when we do it here and make you watch it again.
Lord.
I actually feel like I fell asleep in the theater watching it and missed big chunks of it.
I couldn't get through it.
It's.
We don't have a guest for that one, Jaemeel. I'm plugging you in for Apocalypse.
Lord. Why do I do this to myself?
you obviously
I have to watch that again, so do you.
You're obviously sadomasochistic, Jaemeel. You like to punish yourself.
So we're doing this. Probably the last thing we do tonight because we're running long on time. But there's the first appearance of Jubilee, a 9.8 there.
Yeah, 9.8.
No comic I own will ever end up in a slab. I'll tell you that much.
Well, that's why I own multiple copies of that one issue.
Fair enough. It's a good issue. I have that one as well, but it's not in good shape. So on Kenny X Points, we're going to bring 5 things we liked and 5 things we didn't like.
Where's my list?
About this particular movie here. Let's just go around the table here.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff.
Let's start with we'll end it on a positive note, so let's start with dislike. Let's all throw a dislike out, and then we'll all throw a like out, and kind of have a bit of balance. So I'll start with a dislike. White Jubes. It has to be said.
White Jubilee.
We've mentioned it before, but it has to be pointed out again. White Jubes.
Yeah, it's quite an oversight, I must say.
Yeah.
Mine is the farting scene. That whole boardroom farting scene is so fucking stupid. And the second that they did it, I rolled my eyes. I was on my elliptical doing cardio, and I almost fell off. I was so annoyed. I was like,
"It's the best scene in the history of cinema." 14-year-old Jaemeel says that's a perfect scene.
I have to say, Jube's only using her power 2 times.
They all only use their power 2 times, except for Skin.
Well, Skin uses her powers a little bit more.
Yeah.
No, it's not great.
It's funny is that they went for Skin as the star of this thing.
Yeah, it's very strange. I don't think that kid went on to do a whole lot after this.
Probably New York Undercover, most likely. I think that's the pathway in terms of a Latino actor. He was probably on New York Undercover.
He doesn't even have a if you look at Wiki, he was a New York Undercover an episode, right? That's what got him this.
Oh, okay. Sorry, reverse.
He was on that first, and then that's what got him this. But he doesn't even have a wiki if you pump his name in. So
he's probably like that. This killed his career. He's like, I'm done.
I'm done.
It's over.
Well, let's see what he.
Actually,
he's in a bunch of stuff. He's in Falling Down.
Oh.
He played a gang member.
Oh, yeah?
He played gang member 1.
He ate a baseball bat, I'm sure. Yeah.
Street Justice, Falling Down, Generation X, Law and Order, CSI New York.
Everyone's been in Law and Order.
The last thing he was in was in 2010. Before that, it was CSI New York in 2010 as well. Law and Order.
He's probably SVU. A realtor now. That's what happens.
Yeah, probably.
Well, my first the intro. It was fine. I liked how they kind of. It was kind of reminiscent to the first X-Men movie, where it's just kind of explaining the plight of mutation mutants. So that worked. As soon as that played, I'm like, all right, this is a little semi-serious. I can get into this, and then it goes off the rails. But yeah, André,
the music in this is actually pretty great.
It's good.
There's a Tom Waits song in this. It's so great.
Which one?
I know. I was amazed. Telephone Call from Istanbul is in this.
Oh
movie.
Shit! It was, wasn't it?
Yeah,
good too.
I know. I love Tom Waits. So I was.
Me too.
Like, can you imagine? Like, what weird ass world is there a Tom Waits song in a made-for-TV movie of Generation X in 1996? But this is the world where this is the darkest timeline. This is where we are.
Yeah, Jaemeel, what do you like about this movie, other than everything?
Other than everything,
number 10. He would have given it a 10.
I will circle back to the banter. I love the banter between the characters in this, especially between Emma and Sean, and also Monet Jubilee, Refrax, Mondo, and Skip.
All right. So, back to dislikes. Okay. Well, this shouldn't be too hard. The mental powers thing. I didn't like the mental powers thing. I don't want Jubilee to have burgeoning mental powers. Like her whole thing is she doesn't need telekinesis. She's just a mall rat with like plasmoids. Like, yeah, man. I didn't need it. Didn't need that whole storyline. And like the whole
Olympic level gymnast.
Yeah.
Olympic level gymnast, Jubilee.
Yeah. All right, André.
Things I didn't like, the color. Like I like the I like that sort of color palette in the right. Like I love like Blade Runner 2049. You know, like when it makes sense. I love that sort of techno, retro future techno kind of stuff. I just don't know why it was here, but it just seems really out of place in a lot of scenes. They really went high on the camp color vibe. And I don't think it really needed to portray the story, but I guess that's product of the time period. But it really didn't work for me.
The directing is amateurish at best.
You didn't like those Dutch angles?
No.
Well,
No.
I was going to bring this up later, but I can bring it up now. Interestingly enough, Jack Shoulder, who directed this, directed Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge.
And Wishmaster.
It looks like a
one of the Wishmasters too.
Just feels like a Freddy movie. At no point
Nightmare on Elm
watching
Street,
this, I feel like I'm watching X-Men.
Well, Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is interesting because there's a young male as the Scream Queen.
Johnny Depp.
No, he's in the first one. He's in the first movie.
This is the second one, which has a lot of
gay
homosexual
connotation
overtones. Yeah,
and the actor that played the kid was secretly gay and felt that the director, in making him go through all this stuff, outed him and ruined his career, because at this point he didn't get any more movies after he became, everyone considered him gay. They went on to make a documentary about it called like Scream Queen. And it was about everything about that, where they go find the guy who like sells like curios in Mexico now, and then like bring him to conventions, and then he has a face-to-face with Jack Shoulder about what he put him through, because Shoulder always said that he didn't do that on purpose. The kid was just so gay, it came out in his performance. And then,
Lord.
yeah, I know. So then they have a meeting and a talk about it, and it's actually a really good documentary. Like if you're interested in Nightmare on Elm Street, it's on Shudder.
I would
good.
watch that.
It's very, very good.
When is he going to get his flowers though? Because the world has changed, and him being an icon.
I think this documentary is him getting his flowers, because he does realize in it that that a lot of that stuff, that there is love for his movie, that people do appreciate it, and he doesn't feel he feels a bit vindicated by the end of it. It's actually very heartwarming in that way. Worth watching. Check it out. It's excellent. But another thing this guy directed, which is actually what many consider a hidden gem of a movie. I haven't seen it yet, but it's been high on my list to watch. I'm really wanting to watch it. Is the Kyle MacLachlan movie, The Hidden, which came out in 1987, which is about an alien that there's a serial killer that seems to keep killing people but moving between bodies. It turns out to be an alien, and there's an alien cop that's hunting him that takes on the body of another human cop and is chasing him, and has to team up with another human cop to do it. But it's apparently a very good movie that a lot of people swear by as being a hidden gem. Criterion put it on their channel. They loved it too. So it's a big deal. So it's interesting that this guy has made some movies that are critically cult classics, and then made this, and Wishmaster 2.
Wishmaster 2.
Whose turn is it?
Oh, my turn, I guess. No,
you're talking about director, bad directors.
Yeah, so you just...
I was responding on yours, sorry.
Yes, fair enough.
All right. Back to likes, I guess, then. Monet. Monet was pretty good. She acted like Monet.
She didn't have a lot of time. Is like. She barely did anything.
That's probably why I liked it, because she never betrayed the character at all. She just actually felt like Monet. She's just like, "Hi, I'm the best. I'm perfect. Yeah, I'm sure you're glad to meet me. And we're probably not going to be friends." That's Monet.
Yeah.
Monet to a T.
Channeling her all the skills she learned from Sweet Valley High.
Yeah, nailed it.
Is that what she was on before this?
Yes.
Oh, well.
Yes, Sweet Valley High.
Sweet Valley High.
Yes.
André?
All right.
Banshee. He was as far as his role goes, it's interesting that he is the voice in the cartoon as well. But
it sounded right though, so I get that. Now you mentioned him, you're right. It sounded just like Banshee.
He did a serviceable job. I thought he was charismatic enough in the role. Like I said, the accent's not perfect, but whatever. I would have been okay with seeing more of him. I liked seeing him be sort of the level-headed one of the two, between him and Emma. Emma's sort of the hothead, and he's sort of the grounded one.
Good cop Banshee, because
I like that role.
Banshee had that phase in his comics where he was a cop.
I would have liked to see. He's only used his powers twice in it too. When he got the kids to stop fighting during football, and then at the end when they're fighting Tresh. His powers don't look too bad considering the time period and the budget. This movie cost $4 million.
That was going to be one of my likes, actually, how his powers looked. They looked pretty good.
For what they were.
They did a pretty good job. Yeah. Mine. I mentioned this as well during the actual synopsis, and the actual schooling. We don't get much schooling in a lot of the X-Men movies, and they took the time to actually go through, have kids study, show an interest. Multiple times they came back to it. It wasn't just like, we got to do that. Wolverine comes into a class in progress and the story picks up from there. Like, the students actually learn in the Xavier Institute of Higher Learning, of Mutant Learning.
They sure do.
Back to hate.
Back to hate.
Back to hate.
The new characters. I don't like Refrax. I don't like Buff. I want Chamber and Skin. Chamber and Husk. Especially Husk.
I did forget to mention during the walkthrough that there's a scene where Buff and Refrax are making out in the car, and then his powers activate and he starts being able to see her with her clothes on, and he makes up an excuse and goes away. She thinks he just was being a dick, and then later on, before they go on their mission to die, they think they, not to die, but to fight Tresh where they could die. He explains what happened to her, and then she falls back in love with him. So there's like a slightly redeeming quality to that. I don't want to leave anyone hanging if they didn't watch the movie and they need closure on the particular plot point.
Everyone
Lord.
needs closure.
The two characters, you hated them.
The new ones, no bueno.
No.
What if Fisher Stevens is in this in blackface? Would that have been better? Would you have enjoyed that more, Jaemeel? Would that have made this 5?
Fisher Stevens was pretty great as Ben Javari. What can I do? Like, he was.
Cancel.
It's the before time.
Can we get a graphic that says canceled and just put it over Jameel's window?
I would pick up my phone and start doing the making the Motown songs on my tones, just like in Short Circuit 2. I was in deep.
In deep. I'm glad you found so much love for it,
André.
Terrible stuff, right? Is that where we're on now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, terrible.
The whole dream thing. I feel like
Freddy Krueger.
It's like a hat on a hat. You got people with mutant powers, and you got to go put them in a dream world. You can't just like come up with an idea of the guy's trying to steal mutant powers for himself, and then he gets them at the end. The whole dream thing just seemed really unnecessary. Like you already have people with abilities. Like, and
I didn't understand it.
Yeah, like to go into dreams seemed like that's something you might want to say for the second or third movie. To start off with it just seems very like strange because
he doesn't need mutants with mental powers. He already invented a machine that does all that. Like he literally has no need for mutants at all.
That's what you need to give them all mutant powers to explain how they can go into this dream dimension. Like it just seems like they had a core idea about a dream thing, and probably the writer did, and then built around that. And it just seemed like it should have not been a plot point at all in this. Like the idea of someone just trying to unlock his own mutant powers by studying mutants would have been fine. If you had swapped out that plot point for that one, where he's just trying to get the secret of mutation, same as Ajax or whatever in Deadpool, like then that would have made more sense and been much more interesting than whatever this dream dimension bullshit was.
Wait till it's my like again, and we're going to talk about
the dream dimension. Your
dislike.
We're gonna dislike. I don't like if a villain gets stopped the first time with something and then they get stopped with the exact same thing the second time, not a fan. Yeah. So he loses his body, right? His body and his mind get separated. And then at the end, what happens? Same thing. It's stupid. It's terrible. And it loses its entire appeal of an ending. It's like, well, he's not gone because we just saw him come back before. So it's the exact same thing.
It's very vague too, because like his body gets thrown through the wall and then he's like all big and like has all these powers. So I guess we have to assume that his conscious body is knocked out and that they're fighting a dream version of him. And then when the dream version falls down the pit, his body's back in comatose world. And as they don't explain it, he falls down the pit in the dream dimension that comes through the wall. And then his body's back in the other place. So it's like, this doesn't make any sense.
That's why I feel like they didn't expect this to go anywhere either, because they already took their main villain.
Oh no, I think they
to achieve omnipotence and defeated him by wrapping arms around him. Like, there's nowhere to go from there.
No, I mean, rudimentary writing for this. I was going to say rudimentary writing for this sort of thing would have been like them all feeling bad about different parts of themselves, and then those parts being assets later, and using it to fight this guy and beat him at the end. I mean, I don't think this guy would have been their big bad. He certainly reeks of the introductory villain story. Like he's like the Superfly of the new Ninja Turtles cartoon. So we get him out of the way so that we get to Shredder in the next one. Like it's I don't think they had intentions of him coming back. Maybe if they kept this going. Season 2 or 3, they would have had him team up with the villain, the major villain or something. But I don't think that was the intention.
I think that they would have taken whatever they liked from it that worked and then ignore everything else. A lot of TV pilots and movies did that. Aeolus isn't the same thing in the Hercules movies as he is in the TV show. A lot of characters played different characters in the movies versus the TV show. They sometimes reference it, but they reference it vaguely. I think they would have done that because otherwise, what you've established is a lot of stuff that you just like. You're gonna handcuff a lot of your characters to. Everyone's a psychic.
Yep.
Everyone has psychic powers.
Everyone's psychic now.
That's what they did do. Not good. All right, back to the likes.
Okay. Can't wait to mine.
It's the best live action Emma we've ever seen.
Well, you had two options: January Jones and this one.
The bad one and this one.
This one's not fantastic. I mean, she's a soap opera actress.
It's a lot better than the other one.
Yeah, when you're thinking about the character and what the character has, the feistiness, the use of her powers to manipulate girl. Yeah.
I even got the vibe, and this is definitely reading between the lines, but it's like you can get that like part of the reason why she dresses so provocatively is because it's almost like a fuck you to the world to say like people judge her and stuff because of that and showing it off. But like the way she's depicted, and I guess there must be something to be said about her acting if that's I wouldn't get that out of her performance, but it just seems very much like it's part of her character in a way that she doesn't have to apologize about being successful, being smart, being beautiful, and she's happy to show it all off. So
yes, with that terrible wig.
Yeah, that wig is not good.
No,
sorry, I should save that for a dislike.
Yeah, save that a dislike. Likes André.
Is this the last one?
No, you got one more after this.
Oh Jesus, it's too many.
It's tough.
It's not enough for this one.
50.
I know.
You guys
50
likes. You love this so much.
Like as I bitched about parts of Frewer's performance, I liked the other parts. Like as I mentioned when we were talking, the one where he's threatening the kid, that actually was menacing. And there's like like when someone's really crazy, like if you encounter someone in your life that you're like something's wrong with you. There's something unhinged about that. You know, people say act crazy if you don't want to get in a fight with someone because people are scared of crazy, and it's true. So when you kind of see it happen, you're like, like the ideas, the nuggets of what he's doing, the sinisterness is cool. And I think the idea of like She-Hulk kind of did it in their last season 2 or the only season so far, where they have like a sort of a nerdy guy that's like, I love She-Hulk, but they have like a nerdy guy that's like
the best.
That feels emasculated by a powerful woman, and it's just driving him insane. So like that character, which hits a bit close to home in the real world, is compelling if done correctly. And in certain ways, it's not bad. I just think all the cartoony stuff when he's talking down to the corporate schlub and all that, like it goes really off the rails where he's like flossing his own brain, going, and all that. Yeah.
That's Jim Carrey. That is very Jim Carrey.
He does the disco pose like John Travolta, and there's a lot of that goofiness. But the sinister parts of his performance, I wish we could have just had more of that. But I like that.
Speaking of Travolta pose, Fiona Hughes was in Staying Alive.
It's true. The sequel to Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah. I like the
reach down deep, Jaemeel. It's in there
reach
somewhere.
down deep. I like that we got a live action interpretation of the astral plane. Right there,
they just don't call it that.
We got
they
lots of Doctor Strange movies.
In the old Doctor Strange movie, they talked about the astral plane.
No, the new one, don't they?
The new one, which also connects. I felt that a lot of the wording that they used in this movie, I think, was somewhat aped when they were talking about
Scott Derrickson is like watching this movie for inspiration. Like, I'm going to do a Doctor Strange movie for Marvel. You know what I'm going to watch for reference? The Generation X made-for-TV movie from 1990.
And the Doctor Strange movie from the 70s. That's what I'm going to watch for my research.
Your dreams are another dimension, and how the path to the Book of Ashanti could be a more evolved version of what we saw in the dream dimension, right? What is in the center of the dream dimension? All those paths lead to. So I like that. Watching it made me think of Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness in a positive way.
Fun side note, just so this is unrelated to all this, but I think it's might be interested. Charlie Band, who did all of he made a lot of really low budget movies. He's kind of a Corman associate. He made all the Puppet Master movies. and a bunch of evil bong and all these weird, things. But anyway, at one point during his career in the 70s, no, in the 90s, 92, his company had the rights to make a Doctor Strange movie. And the rights lapsed before they could actually get it done. So they filmed another movie called Dr. Mordred, which is basically what the Doctor Strange movie would have been. And the Doctor Strange character that he would have cast in the Doctor Strange movie that in turn becomes Dr. Mordred was Jeffrey Combs.
Oh, nice.
Jeffrey Combs is perfect in everything. He's amazing.
Yep. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that movie's out there. Dr. Mordred. So if you ever want to watch it, 1992 Charlie Band movie from Full Moon Entertainment was his company.
Well, okay.
All right.
Another round of dislikes.
Yep, this is the last one, and then we'll call it a show. All right.
So, it's a show.
It's okay. Here's the thing. So here's my theory on where this whole dream machine thing came up. So I feel like they had some nerd in the studio, like some guy who knew the comic, and he was trying to explain Cerebro to them. And they were just like, oh, so mutants put a thing on their head, and she's like, yeah, so they have this helmet, they can go into people's minds and stuff like that. And they're just like, oh, so mutants have dream machines. And they just like went with that. Like they misinterpreted him trying to explain Cerebro or her. And that's where they got this whole like half of the movie. Just in a misinterpretation of what Cerebro is. That's my theory. And I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
André?
That's my last dislike.
I don't like it. What don't I like about this? Mostly because this time period was very much the 90210, Party of Five, Dawson's Creek, that we all need angsty teenagers. And I know this is based on a property that
Jaemeel won't let you badmouth the Creek.
I'm not
Heather McComb was married to James.
I'm not badmouthing it. I never watched an episode in my life, so I'm not going to badmouth it.
You could
I
borrow
used to
the
watch
DVDs.
the Creek. I've probably seen the first 3 seasons,
but like this
season.
angsty teen drama, like this stuff, very much like this thing feels very much like its time period. Like I used to watch all these shows, whatever CBC or CTV had. That was a mainstream show that they would air in their later slots, like Charmed or any of those things. Like this all made me feel like I was watching that. So I guess it's just that the trend at this time period to have this angsty teen drama thing, it really felt like this is what it was at the time, and it kind of reeks of pandering to that crowd. While throwing
there's a Star Trek show like that now.
Oh, was that? What's that?
Dig those heels.
Discussion for another time.
Dig those heels.
Is that the Janeway one, Prodigy or whatever? So you're talking about?
No, that's a great show.
No, he wouldn't besmirch Prodigy like that.
What show don't you like, Davan? Discovery?
Discovery is just
they're not teenagers.
To me, but it's written for teenagers. For me, it is like
okay.
I would rather watch Dawson's Creek probably than Discovery.
Would you say
don't you dare use Dawson's Creek as like a I would rather watch Dawson's Creek.
No, I just mean like
you appreciate
it's the
it.
same fare, but Dawson's Creek does it better. It's like
would you say that you want
teenager fare?
Would you say that you don't want to wait for this life to be over? Is that what you're saying?
I don't want to wait for this show to be over, so I'm ending it now. No, I'm just kidding.
He's going to run like mad, and that's a deep cut for you Dawson's Creek fans. That's the alternate intro.
Oh.
Or hand in your pocket.
What, the Alanis Morissette song?
Hey,
yeah,
it was dislikes.
It was dislikes. Okay, the movie. And let me be very specific.
Just the title, just total.
So
the movie.
Understanding how much Generation X meant to me as a book, I was severely invested in it. And you can see, I clearly would have accepted even the worst run shit as acceptable because I loved the characters and the concept so much. That being said, looking back, someone who was so invested to be treated so poorly with this product where
they bungled it.
They bungled it. And the show didn't need to really be much. All it needed to be, and they didn't need to make it dark or anything like that. It could have been these kids at a campus right? With these strange powers, just trying to get through life. The angst would have been the drama. You didn't really need to have that much superhero fare, right? Because the real challenge is Chamber dealing with the body horror that he's dealing with. Husk trying to live up to her brother's example. Jubilee trying to
with real problems, unlike Dawson's Creek, where they just think they have problems. Hey, I'm not bad-mouthing the Creek. I'm bad-mouthing teenagers.
I'm not bad-mouthing the Creek. I swear.
Mutant teenagers actually have problems.
These characters do. And that was a lot of times you mentioned before, want to put a hat on a hat. There's no need. The drama is already built in terms of these characters with these problems, right? Spider-Man isn't great because he has he doesn't have to save the world, right? He has trouble enough just saving a block or saving one person and juggling his life. That's the drama. That's the great drama of Spider-Man.
That's why he's the greatest character ever made.
And that's why they missed it in the boat in this one. They didn't really need to. The budget didn't really need to be there for this. But
it depends on what the powers and how they want to portray those. And
if Chamber was wrapped up and you just had a little bit of CGI flame that came out, I would have been fine. I would have been like, "This Chamber, that's Chamber."
Better than taking off sunglasses and doing a couple stupid beams.
Destroying TVs. You destroyed your TV in the playroom. Great. Now they have to buy another one. We can't watch TV until we buy another one. Right? Thanks. Thanks. Just change the channel, dude. Like, you didn't like what was on television? Come on.
Well, that was it. Generation X. I
left.
This one's for you, 13-year-old Jaemeel.
14. He's 14.
14. You can support the show as Jaemeel does at patreon.com/X-Men Review Show. And we love Jaemeel.
Yeah, sure do.
Not only my client.
Yeah, he's a member.
Oh, that's a line for you're just spouting all these movies. Do you remember when Tresh woke up from his coma when they put the helmet on him and all the sparks? He goes, he's just out of the coma, and he goes, I like the product so much, I bought the company.
I bought the company. So Frewer was good in this, man. You stole my but I was just gonna say Frewer, man. I thought he was great.
It's a mismatched performance, but it's not his fault. 100%.
Yeah. He made chicken salad of chicken shit.
Oh, he sure did. Contact us at xmenreviewshow@gmail.com. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and the Twitches. And find our audio-only version wherever you get your podcasts. We go out to 30 different podcast catchers, so we're out there, man.
We're out there, baby. We're out there in the
Please
fields.
review, and subscribe, and hit the dinger, hit the bell button. They say on YouTube these days, you got to hit the bell. Then you'll know when we post a video, and then you can listen and enjoy, or not, but listen
and enjoy.
And we are a proud member of these United Federation of Podcasts, which you can find at ufpodcasts.com. What do we got going on the network these days? Well, we've got an interview coming up with Robert N. Skier next week here on X-Rated. That'll be fun. A prominent writer. So we'll be of the X-Men animated series. And we'll find out what else. Many other things as well. So we'll check that. Well, that'll be fun. And we also have, get your merch over there on the Patreon. Look at this merch.
Get your merchandise. Get that merch. Where's my Magneto's right shirt, Davan?
Working on it. I've been moving. I've been busy.
Jaemeel, are you in Toronto?
I am outside of Toronto.
Because I'm going to be in Toronto in December.
Ooh. It's going to be a December to remember.
2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, I think it is.
Is that 4th, 5th, 6th? Is that for independent booking, or is it just a leisure?
I never thought to look up a booking when I was there. I should have seen if anybody's around. It's for work, my work, but I'm doing a conference for weed company. One of my clients is a weed grower here in Truro, and they're at a Kind Fall Festival, it's called, or something. So I'm doing the social media stuff and just chilling out. So I'm going up a little early to see a friend, but I'd like to try to catch up with anybody that's around. Maybe grab dinner or something. want to do that?
I'm on that. I love that.
All right, let's do it.
We're on that.
I guess like Murph's around too, right? Murph's in Toronto.
If he's not working, he's more Toronto than I.
Oh, and Dave's around. Maybe I could cousin Dave.
That's Burlington. None of these places are Toronto.
They're close enough.
Yeah,
they're all
you
Toronto.
go trade away.
Yeah.
We'll all converge.
Yeah, there you
Sounds
go.
good.
Meet in the middle. South York.
South York.
South York.
Check out that logo of our fine federation there. But
So
and
great.
there's Hold Up a Movie podcast. Where next one's on the 28th, I believe, and we're talking radio.
Yes.
We
Yes,
need to watch a
Pontypool.
great movie
We're
in
doing-
Pontypool.
Yes.
And Radioland
Airheads.
Murders and Airheads. Yeah, so
I feel like Davin's like Dav. I'm learning the more I listen to the show about what Davin's pocket is for the things he loves. Low budget in like Canadian filmed movies. It seems to be his go-to. Like Pontypool, he loved.
Love
Convergence, he loved.
That's not
the
Canadian.
man. Well, low budget indie films. Then the Man from Earth, he loved.
Primer.
Primer, he loved.
Have you ever seen Looking for Leonard?
What about Hardcore Logo? I feel
I
that's
like
maybe
movies
one.
that are more like intelligently written script than flash. Generally, I don't care about the camera angles. I don't care about it like CGI. I don't like most CGI. I like practical effects. That helps too, practical. But yeah.
Are
I
you a
have my
script
niche.
reader? You read scripts?
No,
Well, I read a lot through like theater scripts. I don't read a lot of film scripts. So I like to read more.
I used to be a big script reader when I was younger.
Really?
Yeah, ridiculous amount of scripts. Yeah, the amount of times I read the Scream 2 script, the different versions, the
Oh, really?
Spider-Man, James Cameron Spider-Man one.
Oh, that'd be a good one to read. You ever? There's a great podcast you've never heard of it called "The Best Movies Never Made," and which they read the scripts from movies that almost made it to production but didn't, or whatever. They do the James Cameron Spider-Man script, which is very interesting. And you know, like Leonardo DiCaprio would have been Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Lance Hendrickson would have been Electro. Would have been the villain. It would have been.
I'd
would have
like
been-
Lance
that.
Henriksen would have been a better Electro than Jamie Foxx. I'll tell you
Well,
that.
I don't think it's Jamie Foxx's fault. I think
Yeah, no, that
the
movie was bad.
crafted poorly.
I think that was Jamie Foxx's fault. I mean, there were bad
No.
things in that movie, but he was by far.
You think
the
he
worst.
wanted to give his character a latent attraction? to
No, I don't
Spider-Man
care
and
about
his
how it
face
was
with his
written. Just the way he delivered every line was just flat.
Look how he
nothing.
looked. He had like a comb over and a big gap in his teeth. They made him look like a cartoony nerd guy. Like,
Matt Frewer would make chicken salad out of that chicken.
So okay,
shit. Jamie
Gavin,
Foxx
there's
can't make
there's
chicken
individuals
salad
who
out
have
of
certain
any
skills. There's individuals who have certain skills to elevate material, and I think Jamie Foxx is a fine actor, right? And he's
I'm
done
not
some
so
amazing
sure.
work. You don't like Collateral?
Haven't
it's a
seen
great
it.
movie.
Oh,
man.
damn it.
They call
Damn it.
Well, I only got so much movie watching time. I'm not you and Andre.
Okay.
there's a Jaemeel, I take it you don't have children either.
What?
Do you have any
No,
children?
exactly.
Well, that's why we have time.
Yeah.
I would I'd much rather watch movies all day than raise
Well,
children.
Davin's raising the
I
next
would.
generation of awesome individuals.
Oh, no,
so,
I'm
Davin,
sure-
keep up the good work. Thank you.
No,
Right?
I'm
Thank
not, I'm
you
not
for doing
shitting on
what you
him for having kids. I'm glad people like him do because they're the ones that want to have kids. People that
Look
want to
at
have
his
kids should
face.
have them. Yeah, she's
That
adorable.
face.
So, wait, what was I talking about? I lost it.
What's going on over there, Jaemeel? What's going on over on that side?
We got Survivor tomorrow,
The Tomato Brothers?
which unfortunately I'm probably going to miss because I'm going to be in Toronto to watch the Scott Pilgrim Takes Off anime first 3 episodes.
No, fun.
They're doing the premiere, the Canadian premiere, so I'm going to be down there. But I'll do my best to jump on and see what I can watch. You missed a slide, the MMMs. We're supposed to do it on the Marvels. I'm looking forward to that
I gotta
when
watch
folks
that.
I
finish
haven't
watching the
seen it
movie.
yet. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I gotta go watch that sometime this week. I think.
Yeah, I gotta see
Yeah.
it this week during the day or something.
Yeah.
It's been
I
a
took my
crazy
niece-
couple weeks in my world, man.
Yeah.
But I'll get to it.
I
We
took
did
my
Loki
niece-
though. We did. The
Yeah,
Loki.
we did Loki. So check out our Loki review. It's great. And I'm eagerly awaiting the Marvels review because I have a
Me
lot
too.
to say
I'm-
about it.
I'm really looking forward to seeing it myself.
Yes. And happy birthday, Siobhan. It's her birthday today.
Your birthday, Siobhan.
Happy birthday, Siobhan. Fine Celtic name you've got there, Siobhan. Much like myself.
Eamon on track.
Eamon on track. We've got
jumping
me
the gun.
going on there.
Ooh.
Talk SMV Thunder. We're going to talk some bass. We're slapping the bass over there.
Slapping the bass.
Slapping the bass.
Eamon's on track. And we've got, well, I'll tell you what we've got. On graphic histories because André has left the building, so I'll tell you what's going on in graphic history. I've sent André another fine guest. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think I sent him this next one.
Kalman, the episode with Kalman and Roshovsky just dropped yesterday. Tuesday, right? Yesterday.
Oh, I'll take credit for that one.
Yeah, he's a listener. He was a listener to the show beforehand. Probably one of the few I've had on that I've listened to previous episodes, which is pretty cool. And then next up, I have Joe. Is that the one who's coming next? Who's the next one, Davan? You sent them to me.
No, this was your next one.
Joe
I didn't send you.
Oh no, sorry, that's the one after that one. The next one coming up is I just recorded yesterday, and it's just edited it and got it ready to go, so it'll be out in 2 weeks' time, 2 weeks from yesterday, and it is with
He never remembers the name of his guests.
I do. Ron Raymond. Ron Raymond. That's his name.
Ron Raymond.
Yeah, he did. He worked with Alan Moore on Swamp Thing and a little bit.
Ooh.
He worked on an indie comic called Trekker, which he's mostly doing now. He worked on the Dragonlance comics, which I thought was awesome because I was a big fan of those growing up. A bunch of stuff for Marvel. He worked on a bunch of stuff for DC. Super cool artist and a consummate professional, done a lot of really cool work and a really great conversation. He has a lot of insight into what working with Alan Moore is like, which is kind of interesting. I never really heard anybody talk about it in a certain way and how detailed his descriptions are in his scripts. Very interesting.
And then you've got Joe Eisma coming up.
Eisma's next after that.
Nice.
And then I believe it's I'm not gonna pronounce his name right, the Australian guy.
Christopher Sequeira. He corrected me. Yeah, I had both those guys on First Contact. They're cool guys.
Sequeira, yes.
Right.
So yeah, he's next. And having to figure out the time difference to pinpoint a time to do that was very interesting.
We had him on at 11 in the morning his time.
Yeah, I think that's around roughly what it's going to be my time. I think it. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And we had him on Live Long and Podcast, where we had our first contact over there on Locutors of Trek. But we've got many fine divisions. They just wrapped up their Enterprise review series in the Command Division.
It was a long road.
It was a long road, but they got there from there. Got there
to here?
There. Yeah. And
took a long time getting
so that's coming up. We've got there's going to be a Debate 9 in November over in the Science Division. We've got Locutors of Trek Season 2 actually kicking off here on Thursday. Oh, I'm going to come back to that. I got the logo for that. But we also have Trivial Debates coming up. Transformers Edition. Third? No, November.
That was last week.
You've been advertising this for months. When is this
going to happen? Back. It keeps getting pushed back.
Wait, it didn't happen on Sunday?
No, it's happening this coming Sunday now. Jody's daughter got in a car accident.
Jesus.
Ooh, okay. Whoa. Okay. Well,
she's fine, but the car's not.
I'm supposed to be looking after the next one, and I haven't got a host yet. I have contestants. I haven't got a host yet.
Is it Disney one?
Yes. Disney 100 one.
But I've been hosting a lot lately, so maybe it shouldn't be me.
Devin, as much as I enjoy your hosting duties, I'm actually looking for someone
to go elsewhere. Yeah.
Yes.
It's been a lot of me lately.
Yes.
So, well, my double shot of Halloween, that's all me for the year. Oh, yeah, I was showing up an overlay. 1 second. Check this one out. So we're kicking off Locutors of Trek Season 2 with talking biology with Dr. Mohammed Noor, biology advisor for Star Trek. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're bringing in the real experts this year rather than just me and Dave Buxley being experts of the week. So we're kicking that off in Season 2 episode 2, we'll be talking metaphysics with Richard Hanley, the author of Metaphysics of Star Trek. So that's going to be fun. We're getting all smart and talky on Locutors of Trek.
Maybe you should get a metaphysic person to talk about Generation X and the concepts established in the dream dimension here.
I'll ask him. And
they're like, no, this is hogwash.
And it's the Hellbound podcast. All right, well, let's get out of here, fellas.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Jaemeel.
Always a pleasure.
Have fun having dinner without me. And
get ready to have dinner with me.
Oh.
1, 2, 3.